right. I'm not going to
is quite electric. People are super excited about his agenda, his proudly democratic socialist agenda, talking a lot about affordability, about rent freezes, talking a ton about tenants' rights, talking about raising the corporate tax rate and raising taxes on billionaires. And it's, as we've all seen, had the right wing and also the mainstream of the Democratic Party in a panic, having a pretty crazy meltdown for the last, month, as we've watched this race come closer and Andrew Cuomo do worse and worse. So he is the front runner. And the real question tonight, I think, and we'll talk to some other people who are going to give us their opinions as well, but I think the real question is going to be whether he's able to get more than 50% of the vote, because, people who are against him are going to say, if he gets under 50%, he didn't win a majority of New Yorkers. So I think that's what everyone's looking for right now. We're going to keep you updated with poll results. And as we're at the official Zohran Mamdani rally at Paramount Theater in Brooklyn. And it's, filled with mostly media right now, but more and more of the people from his campaign are going to start coming in. The staffers, the activists, a lot of the leaders of activist organizations who helped bring out votes for him, who are part of the movement that's behind him. We're going to get a chance to talk to some of them, not just about what got them excited about this campaign, but also, once Zohran Mamdani is elected, he's made a lot of really big promises, and people are excited about those promises. But then the question's going to become, how's he going to deliver on them when he has an entrenched elite who are adamantly opposed to even the most minuscule welfare policies that would benefit the working class in this city, in this country. They're terrified that if Zohran implements these kinds of policies in New York City, people will want these policies implemented around the country. They're wildly popular policies. And so the question is going to be if he's able to implement them, and he's going to be facing a ruling class that is going to come down so hard on him. And so he's going to need those people that helped him get elected, that are behind him, involved in the movements, to push for those policies and to give him the backing he needs to stand up to that entrenched elite. The billionaire class, the Bill Ackmans, and even some of the people that, the commissioner of the NYPD is from a billionaire family. We'll talk a little bit about that. That is very hostile to his agenda. But regardless of all that, I think tonight's probably going to be more of a celebratory night before people start thinking about, what comes the day after. And actually, there's somebody who's going to be with me quite a bit tonight. Come over, Katie. Is this good? Is this good framing? We got her in the frame. This is the beautiful, the lovely. You know her and love her. Come. Katie Halper, but stand.
Oh, sorry.
Tell me. Stand closer
to
me.
Spillage.
Yeah, we had a spill. Sorry, there's liquid, guys. Katie Halper, welcome to the Breakthrough News live stream.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here because we're going to be able to watch the polling throughout the night, get to talk to some people, get your analysis and commentary. You actually, unlike me, live in New York City. You are a lifelong New Yorker.
Yes, I am. And my father's from Queens, so I'm half Queensian. Yeah.
Okay. So what are your general thoughts about what you've witnessed in the past few months with the rise of Zohran Mamdani?
Yeah, I remember when even people who have our politics, I remember they were like, oh, this is a vanity campaign. And obviously that idea went up in flames early on. I think a lot of people are obviously excited about it. I think that, the Cuomo hate also, besides people being genuinely excited by Mamdani, I think that the centrist Dems' response to him has been so kind of energizing and encouraging because they've been so gross with him. Again, he's a very affirmative, people affirmatively support him. But I think on top of that, there is also a lot of people who are really fed up with centrist Dems. Okay, and yeah.
I wanted to actually ask you something because one of the most central topics in this election, for a while at least, was shockingly not the issue of New York City, but the issue of Israel. Right? And I just really quickly, before I get your take on this, Chuck Schumer had stayed silent throughout this campaign, and he told his people told one mainstream media outlet that the reason that he stayed silent and didn't take a side and didn't endorse anyone is because he feels he's a guardian of Israel, and Zohran is not going to guard Israel for him.
Yeah, that's the other irony is that, the people who made this election a referendum on Zionism and on Israel were actually the Zionists. A lot of people criticize Zohran for that, for running on Israel. He didn't run on it. He didn't run on Palestine. He just stands out because he's principled on that issue. And when you have so many politicians who are they're compromised, or they're not even compromised, they may just be like dyed-in-the-wool Zionists, or they're beholden and don't care. He really stands out. So it was fascinating to watch these people put so much, and this is kind of similar to the way that like the centrist Dems trashing him or ignoring him, I think, had an unintentional effect of giving people a lot of motives to go out and work even harder for him. So when you had all these Zionists beating up on him and trying to like make an example out of him, be like, you don't run as a pro-Palestine person. Like, how dare you run and say that you're going to arrest Netanyahu? That again, I mean, it's insane. He won the primary in New York, and a lot of Jews in this city. I say that as a Jew. And the fact that, if this is a referendum on Zionism, it's great for us who are Israel critics, anti-Zionists, whatever. So I think that is kind of probably one of the most important elements of the campaign. I mean, there's a lot of important things about it. There's the, redeeming socialism and democratic socialism, but the Israel stuff is huge.
Well, so the Israel stuff is huge, and we're going to come back to that. But I think one thing that's interesting about this campaign as well, there was this Washington Post editorial, I think it was maybe yesterday or the day before, and it was something like Zohran Mamdani should concern, or there's a warning to everyone, and it was about how nobody seemed concerned with the word socialist in his agenda. And it's basically, I think, a referendum in a way on the failure of anti-communist, anti-socialist messaging in this country. And it also speaks to the failure of capitalism. Because there was this one line in this Washington Post article, again, it was an editorial by the editorial board. Oh, wow. And it was like, something along the lines of like, we've done a really bad job of pushing the narrative of why free markets are so much better. And it's like, no, our experience, especially people who are of a certain age and younger, our experience in this country is one of failing free markets that have made our lives miserable.
Right. They're so out of touch that they think it's a messaging issue as opposed to experience issue, right? It's not because it's not being packaged well. It's because it actually sucks. People are experiencing this. The Dems always think this, right? Oh, we have to be better on messaging. It's like, well, you have to be better on policies. I mean, yes, sure, your messaging also sucks. Let's be real. You can't even lie or pander effectively. But the problem really is also the actual program, not just the way you present it.
Yeah. And you'd think that would be understandable. And then I think the other element of what we're going to see play out, especially after he's elected, is if he's able to deliver, right? And I think that there's been a lot of people, and I've heard this, and I'm sure you've heard this too from some circles that we run in. A lot of people, despite the excitement around him and what he's saying, they feel they've been burned by anyone who's tried to run inside the Democratic Party, right? Like this party.
Preemptive defection or preemptive disappointment.
Yeah, and I understand why, right? Bernie Sanders, people supported him, and then it kind of, feels like it went nowhere, and he sort of capitulated to the Democrats. AOC, everyone was so excited about her, and a lot of members of the squad. Yeah. And then, she's done a lot of capitulation to the center of the Democratic Party, and people feel like, this party is funded by weapons companies, by corporations, same people who fund Republicans. It's dominated by the centrists, no matter how unpopular their positions are and how popular the agenda of the left of the party is. It doesn't seem to really matter. So, what are your thoughts on just that general sort of contradiction and the fear that, maybe this momentum could once again be swallowed up by the Democratic Party?
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I totally do. And I think that, you and I were talking about this earlier, I think maybe on an Instagram Live. But, this may be apocryphal but doesn't really matter story about how they said, what is it? FDR, I think it was A. Philip Randolph saying something about wanting some civil rights or economic rights stuff. And FDR was like, okay, now go out there and make me do it. So, any politician wants to be dragged by his base if they have any convictions, because they need to make it politically impossible to not do the right thing, right? You have to have people, you have to show the powers that be that you're being pressured to do the right thing. So I think people are right to be vigilant and to be skeptical. I think that they shouldn't kind of crap on him yet. I think that they should try to make sure that they try to do everything they can to move him. But look, if you think that the Democrats are like impossible to work with, then go and support other things. I mean, I don't actually think, I don't know, this is a longer conversation. There's a question about electoralism, then there's a question about what we do outside of electoralism to make elected officials more responsive. That's I think, really the biggest thing. Sometimes, ironically, I would say that the people who think they're really hardcore, sorry, I'm going to be a little critical, but the people who think they're really like hardcore and get the duopoly and the corporate duopoly wind up like fetishizing electoralism because they reject the duopoly, which I understand, but then they think the answer is to win electorally as opposed to create the social movements that'll force politicians.
Well, so actually to that, I just want to say Zohran, speaking today in an interview, said I've seen him do this in several interviews, but he's called on his volunteers in his own recorded stuff too to commit themselves to a lifelong struggle after the campaign, not just to an electoral one. So even he's saying repeatedly, like, once I'm in office, you need to keep it up, because otherwise I'm at the mercy of like Tish James and like Governor Hochul and Donald Trump, who, by the way, that's another point, is I think another topic that people are going to be coming back to on this is once he wins, I mean, Donald Trump has promised to attack him, right? And
actually, that's a really good point, because we saw this with Obama. And this is, I'm really nervous about, that people are going to buckle down and defend Zohran, which we should for the right things, but we can't use that to not push him on things. And in other words, like, I know when Obama was the first time, I was distracted, I think, defending him from like racist attacks, this, that, the other. It's like, okay, well, he's also droning people. Okay, he also bailed out Wall Street. And so I think we have to make sure, especially because Zohran is a very appealing, charismatic, like magnetic, but also like menschy person, and that's very seductive. You know, it's very appealing, and I think we have to make sure. I don't mean seductive like as a person. You know what I mean? Seductive as a thing. Yeah. Don't worry. I know you're married, but he's very charming, and so I'm worried that like people are going to close ranks, which we should, but close ranks in a way that gets our eye off the ball, so that we're like defending him from racist attacks,
which are going to happen.
Yeah, we're defending him from like super Zionist attacks, and then we have to make sure that while we do that, we're also keeping our eye on the ball and pushing him to do the right thing vis-a-vis Palestine, right? We can't just say, well, they're calling him XYZ, and that's because he thinks Palestinians are human beings, and we can't let that happen. Okay, yes, but we also have to make sure he does the right stuff on Palestine.
Right. I mean, some people.
Well, I mean, that's, yeah.
I mean, he's got so many. There's going to be so many issues where they're going to come down on him on. Like, they're going to distract with. I mean, it's going to be interesting. You know, we'll talk about this after he's elected and gets into office. It'll be interesting to see how things with the NYPD play out, because this is somebody who came up during the uprising against police brutality. He was a big part of that movement against racist policing, against police violence more generally, and he came out and like apologized for some of those things, and he did what some people felt was capitulation by saying he would keep the commissioner. Remind me her name, Jessica Tisch. He would keep Jessica Tisch, and she's from a billionaire family who is very hostile to progressive forces. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see that play out, because once he gets into office, like, this woman is going to do everything to undermine him. And I guess that goes back to he's going to need the people behind him to get in the streets.
Yes, because if not, then the only pressure he'll be feeling will be from one direction. And to survive, he'll have to only react to that. So we do have to make an equal but opposite. Actually, more than equal but opposite, like opposite but more than, not just equal, right? We have to make it stronger, so that the politically strategic thing for him to do is capitulate to us, not to them.
Well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, Katie, but I do feel
when we are working for his campaign as his media advisors, yes.
Well, there were 2 deaths today. There was the death of former Vice President Dick Cheney, who is a war criminal who's responsible for the death of millions of people around this world, and there's also the upcoming death of Andrew Cuomo's political career. So I'm just curious, your thoughts on both of those endings?
Yeah, I mean, not a moment too soon for either one, I would say. Am I allowed to say that?
I mean, you know what? We still have free speech in this country.
Free speech, yeah. No, I mean, I don't. How old was Dick Cheney?
He was 84. He lived a long life.
With like a monkey heart or a pig heart or something. I hope they didn't kill a pig. Is that really made of?
Oh, I thought it was half robot.
Oh, something. Yeah, he definitely is half robot. But yeah, no, that's it's always the good die young, and then the really old ones, the really bad ones, live for a long time.
With a big bank account that's going to be able to, keep his neocon legacy alive for generations.
Plus, he has his daughter to carry on. Yeah, he ran so she could run or something like that. Yeah, yeah. He killed a lot of Iraqis so she could keep it going. I don't know.
Amazing.
Kill a lot of Iranians if she has her way, I guess. Yeah.
It's horrifying. And then there's Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah, Andrew Cuomo. I mean, that is like some unbelievable. I think my favorite part of about the Andrew Cuomo's role in this is seeing that, Hot Girls for Cuomo. Mm-hmm. If you go to hotgirlsforcuomo.com, it actually opens up to like an affidavit about his some kind of legal document about the sexual harassment case against him.
Yeah. Well,
I got to say, big shout out to Curtis Sliwa for coming up with the great line that Cuomo was killing grannies and slapping fannies.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is creative.
Really good. Yeah. I'm a Sliwa. I hope he names Sliwa like Minister of Cats or something.
Oh my God. I just really quickly want to check because our fantastic shout out to producer Emily Breeze. She's going to be on the back end of things tonight, keeping us updated. It's as of 6 p.m., which was 2 hours ago, 1.85 million people, including early and mail-in voters, had cast ballots in the mayoral race. That is the highest turnout since 1993, when nearly 1.9 million people voted. I have no idea who was running in 1993.
93? Who was 93? Was that
I don't know.
Giuliani? Yeah, right. It was Giuliani.
Oh wow, he was that.
Yeah.
But that's really impressive, and we're gonna come back to you, Katie. But can I bring you in real quick? I'd love to hear from Meghnad Bose.
Yeah.
Meghnad Bose. He is freelancing with Dropsite News, and actually something upcoming for Breakthrough News, which I'm really excited about for our written section. But you've also been following this campaign. What do you have to say about what you just heard me say about that record 85 million people.
Million, yeah.
75 million.
Million people by 6 p.m. So by 9 p.m., which was when polls close, that 1.75 will very likely be at 2, maybe slightly more, maybe slightly less, but touching 2 million, which is incredible because in 2021, the total turnout in the general election was 1.1 million.
In New York City.
And Eric Adams got 67% of that vote, right? The question today is Eric Adams had an effective two-way race because Curtis Sliwa was opposing him, and Curtis Sliwa won around 27% of the vote in 2021. This time, of course, it's a three-way race, effective three-way race. Of course, Eric Adams and Jim Walden, you have these people on the ballot too, but they didn't really contest, so you've got a three-way race. The interesting point here is that the turnout has increased so much that everything points to a Mamdani victory, because it is Mamdani's voters who've been the most enthused in this election to come out and vote for him. If you look at the average Cuomo voter, and we've been going all over New York talking to voters, the Cuomo voter isn't so much a pro-Cuomo voter as they are an anti-Mamdani voter, right? The typical Cuomo voter. So they're not super enthused about Cuomo either. And Cuomo on his own couldn't have increased the turnout from 1.1 million to close to 2 million. So that's one huge factor that signals that Zohran Mamdani is not just the front runner because he won the Democrat primary, but the front runner just by looking at numbers. The other reason that it looks very good for the Mamdani campaign is that if you look at the early voting numbers, a lot of those early voters, disproportionate amount of those early voters were super young voters, 18 to 29 years old, 30 to 39 years old, the two demographics that turned out in record numbers. Again, it's the young voters that have been more pro-Mamdani and anti-Cuomo than pro-Cuomo and anti-Mamdani. And the third fact that I'd like to say that emerging from the trends is that this election is also important nationwide for one very important reason, that it's been an election where big money and billionaire money has been completely in opposition to one candidate. But outside spending in this election, those billionaires who funded Cuomo's campaign and ran all these attack ads against Mamdani will likely lose just as badly, in all likelihood, as Andrew Cuomo does tonight.
They could have just kept their money and used it to pay the taxes that are going to go up on them, right?
I mean, that's the joke about Bill Ackman and these other billionaires who funded these campaigns. There's a very interesting, so there's a piece that I worked on with my fellow journalist Biplab Das for Dropsite News, looking at the billionaire funded ads in this last stretch of the campaign. And it was extremely interesting because there were a couple of insights there that we found through our research. One was that the billionaire super PACs had changed strategy in the final days of the race. What they were doing was that they were all out telling their voters, hey, look, we know that Cuomo's a flawed candidate, but we still need you to vote for him. They spent $1 million on an ad like that, or close to $1 million, I forget, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. They also spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on another ad, which literally, it was a text message blast sent out by a pro-Cuomo super PAC, which started with a tweet. The first line of the tweet was, Cuomo murdered my husband, but I'm still going to vote for Mamdani. They shared that tweet, a pro-Cuomo super PAC shared that tweet and wrote, we get what she means, and if she can do it, so should you. How is a pro-Cuomo super PAC sharing a tweet that says Cuomo murdered my husband unless they're really desperate and they feel like they're losing the race, right? So the trends, if we knew where to look for them, have been there in the offing for a few days now, that the Cuomo camp and his donor camp really feel like this race slipped out of their hands in the past few days.
So I want to ask you something, since you've been following this stuff. It sounds like from what you're saying, there's been a lot of resources put into this election from outside the city.
Yeah.
Right? So can you talk a bit more about what you mean by that? Because we're talking about on a national scale. There are people who nationally see this election and the outcome of it as a huge threat if Mamdani wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at outside spending. What we mean by outside spending is there are two types of campaign finances, right? One is campaign spending, which is what the Mamdani campaign is spending itself, what the Cuomo campaign is spending itself. Then you have super PAC money. Now, officially, legally, the super PACs cannot coordinate. The Political Action Committee's super PACs cannot coordinate with the campaigns themselves. But how I like to say it is that that's like, if you've seen the meme, we won't coordinate, just trust me, bro. It's a very trust me, bro vibe, where we're just supposed to believe that the super PACs that are funding millions and millions of dollars into these campaigns aren't actually sort of speaking to the campaigns at all, officially, unofficially. And in fact, Andrew Cuomo's was suspected of breaking those, violating those rules, and was fined more than $1 million from his campaign finances. But coming back to the point you asked me about, this outside expenditure, or independent expenditure as it's called, has crossed $50 million. And that money has gone 7 times more to Cuomo, in favor of Cuomo, than Mamdani. So if you look at how much the campaigns have spent themselves, they're like 12 million each. But the moment you add in the outside expenditure, Cuomo goes up to like 40 million and Mamdani's at 17 million.
I want to ask you also, because another thing you've been following pretty well is the different groups that have been involved. I mean, Zohran Mamdani, as great as he is, he's one guy. He's got a massive team behind me and a movements behind him. So tell me a little bit about that ecosystem. Who organized for him? What are these groups and what are they all about?
If Zohran Mamdani wasn't a democratic socialist and was like a Democrat in the sort of establishment Dem kind of sense, you would have seen the Democratic Party falling head over heels trying to figure out how one person and his campaign have energized voters to that extent. Let's talk numbers here. In the primary, Zohran Mamdani won around 400,000 odd votes, right? He had around 50,000 volunteers. That is basically 8 votes per volunteer, which is the volunteers obviously going to vote for Zohran themselves too. You need 7 more people you need to convince. That ratio is unheard of in a city as big as New York City. Now, the interesting thing is, in this election, Zohran's campaign has been saying they've had more than 100,000 volunteers. Today, if polls close with 2 million votes, and out of that 2 million, if Zohran, say, gets 50%, which he'll definitely win with, 50% votes would be 1 million. 100,000 volunteers to 1 million votes, that's 10 votes per person, 9 people apart from yourself. That's also an unheard of ratio in a race this big. The ground movement has not just been people canvassing and showing up on one day and then sort of calling it a day. It's been people who've been going out canvassing day in and day out. They've also mobilized. We say grassroots campaign a lot in terms of when we talk about politics, but this campaign has been grassroots in a way we haven't seen in years. So, for example, there are so many grassroots organizations that endorsed Zohran really early and started working with the campaign to organize that canvassing. So you've got Drumbeats, which is an organization that has done a lot of canvassing. You had all these affinity groups pop up, like Pakistanis for Zohran, South Asians for Zohran.
And just real quick, Drumbeats.
Drumbeats is an advocacy organization that works with a lot of South Asian folks, Indo-Caribbean folks. But you've got all these affinity groups popping up. It was effectively a franchise model of canvassing because you had groups like Hot Girls for Zohran, right? You had groups like Moms for Zohran. You had groups like South Asians for Zohran. And all these groups took that ownership then in the canvassing model because they were given the space, but they were also given the structure and how to integrate themselves with how they with the main campaign and how they went canvassing. And so every person who joined this campaign, and we've spoken to dozens and dozens of volunteers over this past year, every person who joined the campaign felt a degree of ownership about the campaign that you often don't see with top-down hierarchies, very stringently top-down hierarchies, which you'd see in a presidential election campaigning, because you feel disconnected from your candidate, right?
Yeah.
Much more than when your grassroots organizations, when your own affinity groups are the ones going out and doing the canvassing and the planning.
Yeah. And then I want to ask you about the day after. There's just a couple things. One is the threats we're hearing from the Trump administration. How serious is that? What do you see? Like, I mean, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you see taking place given what we've heard?
Look, it's interesting. I'm currently based in Memphis, which is a minority-majority city, which has a majority black population. It's a deep blue city in a deep red state. And Trump just sent the National Guard there unilaterally, right? Trump sent the National Guard in D.C. unilaterally. He's been sending federal agents in Chicago and Portland unilaterally. And so it seems almost counterintuitive to ask voters to say that, hey, let's pick the guy Trump likes more so that instead of him colluding with Trump, he would actually get more for the city out of Trump. A, Andrew Cuomo's a Democrat, right? B, let's remember, Andrew Cuomo only in recent days has he been going all out seeking the Republican vote.
He got an endorsement from Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
And
is
so-
that crazy?
And so he got an endorsement from Miller. I didn't see that, actually.
Yeah, yesterday Stephen Miller was like Cuomo. Yeah, Stephen Miller, Elon Musk, and of course Donald Trump.
I saw the Musk and the Trump ones. But Andrew Cuomo was going out and saying, I'm the last person Trump wants to see as mayor. That was his initial sort of how he started the campaign, midway into the campaign, that's what you're saying. In recent days, he's like, oh, listen to Trump, right? So which is it? Did Andrew Cuomo want people to think that he's the last person Trump would want as mayor? Or did he want Republican voters who are likely going to vote for Curtis Sliwa to think that, no, they should vote for Cuomo instead? And again, Cuomo's super PACs also put in hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars into spreading that message that a vote for Sliwa is a vote for Mamdani, right? But coming back to your question about, you asked me about Andrew Cuomo.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the day after in terms of, okay, so you've got the Trump threat, but then you've also got all of these groups you're talking about that basically canvassed are kind of a part of this broader movement.
Yeah.
What do you think happens afterwards? Because, Zohran himself, and I was talking to Katie about this, has said, you have to commit yourself to a lifelong struggle. So this is not just about getting me into office electorally. Also, afterwards, you need to keep pushing. Yeah. Do you see that from these groups? Do you foresee these groups holding these promises accountable? Because he's going to be facing a lot of pressure, and he's not going to be able to do what he promised without a movement behind him to be in the streets demanding it.
Absolutely. And Donald Trump is going to use Zohran Mamdani as a foil. No question about it. If you see how the Republican Party has looked at cities like New York City and San Francisco, they've used these cities where they never win, barely ever win, in deep blue states as well. They've pointed them out, and as this is what happens when you elect Democrats in power, right? They've brought up stuff like homelessness in SF, crime in New York City, overblown those claims on both fronts, and said this is what happens when you get the Dems in power. So Zohran Mamdani is going to be seen by Trump as a useful foil for the party, not just to win necessarily any more votes in New York than he did in 2024 in the midterms, but to use New York and SF and these deep blue cities as examples at other places in the country that, look, this is what happens when you get the Dems, they elect a communist, a socialist. Those are things that Trump's been calling Mamdani. But you see that disconnect between that perception versus the perception that regular New Yorkers have. You talk to New Yorkers about Mamdani's plans and whether they feel he's a communist, and you'll hear more people than not tell you, well, he's saying he wants to give us universal childcare, right? Are you saying universal childcare is a bad idea, and why, right?
No, it's interesting. It's like these ideas are so wildly popular to the point where the anti-communist messaging just goes right over people's heads.
Yeah, and I mean, for so long in the United States, the word communist has been used. I mean, the Red Scare, it goes back a century. But it's been used as this one sort of like trump card, if ironic that I say trump card, but it's been used as a trump card to just sort of, yeah, pun intended, to sort of blank out a candidate and say, oh, this person can't go any further. But what we've seen Zohran Mamdani do is actually, I mean, he stuck to his guns on the policies, right? And he gave a very clear message. If you speak to New Yorkers again and you say, freeze they're going to say rent. They're going to say rent in their sleep, right? So it feels like you talk to marketing gurus and they talk about clear, pointed messaging, right? Zohran Mamdani came in with 3 points, and those 3 points have stuck. I've tried to ask people that, hey, do you remember what Andrew Cuomo's messaging was like? Do you remember what Andrew Cuomo's flyer said? And most people I spoke to said, honestly, no. But you ask them about like what Mamdani's campaign has been, and immediately it's like freeze the rent, fast and free buses, universal childcare. So in terms of the messaging, he didn't bow down when people started saying, oh, this is a commie, this is a communist. He's going to, I mean, they tried to portray him with all kinds of Islamophobic slurs as well in the campaign, which was...
That was like another whole episode that's not going to go away, is the racism.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew Cuomo went on a conservative podcast and said, if New York has another 9/11, can you imagine if Zohran Mamdani is the mayor? The podcast alleged that your opponent, who's the Democratic nominee, because he is Muslim, would cheer on another 9/11 in the city. And here's what, like, I think the media also has a role in this. I mean, you look at so many of the establishment media houses and publications, that seemed like a small story buried away, right? That wasn't the huge story. That wasn't the wall-to-wall coverage. But you had a former governor of New York say that this Muslim candidate must love it when New York has 9/11.
It's insane, and it's insane how normalized that hate and racism is, to the point where it was sort of brushed off and not really that big of a story. And then Zohran released that, like, you know, message saying, you know what, this is actually too much. But I mean, I also think it's super interesting to have a moment where we've got fascist forces in positions of power in this country, but also this groundswell of maybe the first Muslim mayor of New York City. And it's really an inflection point where you've got two extremes. And I don't want to say extremes like left, like I guess I just mean to say these couldn't be more different.
Yeah, they're definitely very different. But when you talk about the forces in the city, let's rewind a few days. Let's remember what we had a Turning Point USA influencer come to Canal Street in New York, which every New Yorker watching the stream will know is a place where you get a bunch of counterfeit goods. They're cheap goods. They're, I mean, quality material, just like knockoff products. And she said, she made this video saying, oh, look, there are all these illegals here. They seem to be Senegalese. They're African illegals here, and tagged ICE, law enforcement, right? Yeah. And then just a few days later, you had ICE trucks coming into Canal Street and arresting people based on their ethnicity. Now, New York City is a sanctuary city, right? Law enforcement is not supposed to engage with ICE. Now, NYPD did not engage with ICE that day, but with Eric Adams in thinking, we let ICE come in. On the other hand, you look, wins tonight. Will Donald Trump not have had a role to play by endorsing him last minute, by I think a Cuomo victory is very unlikely, just for the record. But if Cuomo does win somehow, wouldn't he be beholden not just to these Republican mega donors? Many of Trump's billionaire donors backed Andrew Cuomo, right? You had Democratic billionaires and Republican billionaires come together, join hands to try to oust Mamdani from the race, to try to defeat Mamdani. But coming back to the point, if Cuomo wins, wouldn't he be beholden to these MAGA donors and to Donald Trump for his...
He definitely promised them something, right? Like, you don't get that for free.
And so if tomorrow, if Andrew Cuomo is the mayor of New York City, if ICE agents are coming down Canal Street or Jackson Heights, which when operation happens, and then you wonder, wait, was there collusion between the city authorities, between the city's police force and City Hall? And you wouldn't be wrong to like sort of wonder whether that sort of collusion is taking place.
You know, I saw something really interesting. I was in Jackson Heights a few days ago, and there was these Cuomo, paid Cuomo people on the ground, and there was this woman. She was Latina, but she was, holding a sign that said Hindus for Cuomo. And I don't know, maybe she's Hindu. I don't know how likely it is to have a Latino who's. I'm sure that exists, but I think she was paid to be there. And I thought the Hindus for Cuomo was interesting in a Muslim neighborhood. I don't know if he's stupid or if there's something else happening there.
And look, I mean, so talking about, I just published a story Undocumented today about the Hindu American community, the Hindu New Yorkers, and how they're feeling about the election. There is a dissension in the Hindu community in New York. The reason for that dissension is because there are these Hindu right-wing, Hindu far-right groups that are trying to portray Zohran Mamdani as anti-Hindu, in their words, Hindu-phobic. Now, the reason they're saying stuff like this, one of their arguments is, oh, look, Zohran Mamdani criticized the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, whose ruling party has been credibly accused of anti-Muslim politics and policies for the last decade and longer. The party has been accused for longer. And so Zohran Mamdani criticizing Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi does not necessarily mean that Zohran Mamdani is anti-Hindu, any more than criticizing Israel's genocide in Gaza means that you're anti-Semitic, right? But the Cuomo campaign actually latched on to this thread, this argument, and Cuomo's donors also start putting in ads about this. Eric Adams called Mamdani anti-Hindu as well. And so the Cuomo campaign, in fact, Andrew Cuomo in the second and final general election mayoral debate actually said that Hindus have reason to fear Zohran Mamdani because there's divisions. Mamdani creates...
That's crazy.
Yeah, it didn't get reported much in the mainstream.
The white man really trying to split the brown people, huh?
Yeah, said that Mamdani, I mean, he's a divisive figure and Hindus wouldn't want him. He also said stuff like, that Shia Muslims don't want you because you want to legalize prostitution. And sorry, he said Sunni Muslims. He said Sunni Muslims don't want you.
So that's supposed to mean Shia Muslims like prostitution? Because Zohran is of Shia background. Yeah.
And Shia is obviously like a minority community within the Muslim community. But Andrew Cuomo tried to drive that wedge into a Shia-Sunni divide in New York City by trying to pit New York's Sunni Muslims against Mamdani by bringing up like prostitution and apparently...
Okay, so real quick, the woman I told you about who was carrying the Hindus for Cuomo sign, also on the other side of the sign, it said, hashtag no prostitution, drop Mamdani.
Yeah, and so if you talk to Muslim New Yorkers, okay, Andrew Cuomo is leveling Islamophobic attacks against Zohran Mamdani every day.
Yeah.
And then one of those 7-8 days, he goes out and says, oh, you know what, Muslims, you should vote for me because this guy wants to legalize prostitution. How is the person who is the reason for Islamophobic attacks against Mamdani in such a major way? A DC-based think tank, by the way, just yesterday released a report, yesterday before, I can't remember, time's a blur, had no sleep, reported yesterday that Islamophobic attacks against Mamdani surged and in fact shot up in the days following Andrew Cuomo's 9/11 remark against Mamdani. So how do you expect Muslim New Yorkers to want to vote for the guy who is looking at the Muslim candidate opposite him and saying, oh, this guy must love 9/11?
It's actually really incredible. Listen, you are such a wealth of knowledge. You're going to come back on because we're going to be live streaming for a while. But thank you so much that was so informative. We're really looking forward to your Breakthrough News article coming soon. And we will be back with you in a bit. Thank you so much. I could just keep going. He just had that Muslim stuff is crazy. The level of sectarianism is just completely insane. I'm just looking to see if we've got any updates. I guess we're just still waiting for polling results to come in. I'd love to maybe try to talk to some other people who are hanging out here. A lot of it's media so far. But as you heard, I mean, this campaign has been dirty. Not this campaign. This election has been dirty. Andrew Cuomo has flung some really horrific and things that, are just vile and that I find personally offensive as somebody from the Middle East, but also just as a human. And to see both parties, the Republican and Democratic Party, who is backing mostly Andrew Cuomo, just pile on in this kind of moment against somebody and just use all the racist rhetoric they can try to defeat them, just shows a level of desperation. It's what you do when your policies are incredibly unpopular and all you can run on is racism because you're being funded by billionaires, and that's incredibly unpopular right now. People want free buses. People want subsidized groceries. People want to lower the rent. People want to be able to afford to live. And it's interesting to see the national, I don't live in New York City. I actually live outside of the country, but and watching from outside, this is being watched internationally. I'm just going to take a minute and I will be back with you. Why don't you pan around? Sorry, I just need to bring some water.
Hey there, if you're just tuning in, this is Breakthrough News. We're live at the Zohran Mamdani Election Night Rally here in New York City. We'll be streaming all night as we wait to hear from our host, Rania, Khalek, as well as guests before the main program starts, so stay tuned. We'll be here all night streaming from the Zohran Mamdani Election Night Rally.
Well, thank you very much, Craig Birchfield, our fantastic cameraman. I love working with Craig. I'm going to give him like a million shout outs tonight. because not only is he good at his job, but he's a super cool, fun, and pleasant person. So I get the whole package. And I'm going to bring back in with me one of my favorite people, a close friend of mine, and also a brilliant commentator who needs to spit out her gum, Katie Halper. Katie, what are your thoughts? I mean, right now we're just waiting for things to get started, so we're just kind of chatting with other media people who've been covering the election. But yeah, like you've been talking to people. What are your thoughts?
I really like the international perspective that we've been tapping into right here tonight from people from India. I think it's fascinating to hear how the South Asian population in New York City is churning up, obviously, but also is really interesting to hear, like when I asked you if people were following this in Lebanon, it was really interesting to hear what people were thinking and feeling. Not that anyone's a monolith, but back home. Yeah.
Well, it's just also super interesting because the guy I was just talking to, he obviously Indian, but like teaching in the U.S., doing freelance journalism, had, I thought, a better better understanding of this election than I did. Yeah, the number, everything. I'm just like, damn, he was just full of info, but also the fact that the South Asian community has played such a huge role, I think is going to definitely play into how other campaigns are done. I'm slightly worried because Zohran Mamdani put out so many amazing ads in different languages that we're going to now, he did it well. It wasn't cringy, but I feel like we're going to see the centrist types try to do that next. So I'm very nervous about like a Cory Booker Farsi ad.
Oh my God, a Cory Booker Farsi ad. That's like a tongue twister. Yeah. Did you see, by the way, some, who was it? They showed up wearing a Netanyahu mask at an event that he did. That was great.
Oh, I did.
Thank you so much for supporting.
At a Cory Booker
at a Cory Booker event. Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well done to the activists that made that.
I mean, can we also mention the fact that, it is related, obviously, but I don't know if you've seen this. There was they just fired some army official in Israel because it was revealed that she was the one who leaked the video, the rape video.
Yes.
And watching people defend that or be like, oh, well, how do we know it was rape? Do we really know it was rape? It's like no one even pretended that it was up for debate in Israel. The only debate was whether to punish the rapists. Yeah. I mean, it was incredible.
Well, also that's crazy because, despite the fact that there was a press conference by the rapist and other IDF soldiers in masks, it wasn't covered in the U.S. media. And I genuinely want to know, we should probably go around asking some of these mainstream media people here tonight why their outlets have not covered the fact that the rapists of Palestinians in the Israeli military are openly bragging about the fact that they faced no consequences. Right. And Netanyahu is attacking the Israeli soldier, the Israeli commander, who leaked that video. Actually, where's CNN?
Yeah, where are they?
I don't know. We should find CNN.
Where's Dana Bash? Why isn't Dana Bash here? I'm sure she's really
anyone, obviously. No. Although I was hearing the last guest tell me that it's interesting because there was all these groups he was mentioning that were canvassing, and one of them was Hot Girls for Zohran, and others were Moms for Zohran, and he wants subsidized grocery stores. He doesn't like genocide in Gaza, and I think affordability, or raise the corporate tax rate by 2%.
Yeah, and he's a communist or?
Yeah, apparently. He's also, I just want to clarify, this, you're a red diaper baby. Yeah. He's a democratic socialist.
Yeah.
Love our democratic socialist friends, but those are not communists.
No, not at all. Yeah, if only these people knew what they would really be doing.
If only. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we're really going to quickly we're going to have Katie hopping in and out. Yeah. I believe we've got someone amazing to speak to that, is Lindsay? Does Lindsay want to? Please, Lindsay. I'm meeting her for the first time in person, so I may have to hug her on camera. Yes, yeah. Hi, how did you hug her in person? Oh my gosh, you are so tall.
I know.
I'm very
surprised.
I'm so jealous. Yeah. As a short person, I'm very jealous and in envy of your tallness. But Lindsay Boylan, it's so good to meet you in person. For those who don't know, but I think many people probably do know, you are somebody who's had a horrible experience with the mayoral candidate, former governor of New York City, Andrew Cuomo. You were sexually assaulted by him, and you have been very publicly coming forward and denouncing that. So I'm just curious, and as you've watched this election play out, how has it been for you to see this man who committed a criminal act against you be running for office and have so much support from the ruling elites in this country?
Have to see power pull its weight over abuse. But I've also been really I don't know, inspired by what Zohran has been able to do in his campaign and all of the people supporting him who have also supported me. So it's also been the worst and the best of times, honestly.
And I'm just curious, watching certain Democrats line up behind Zohran, but then others line up behind Cuomo. You've worked inside this party. Seeing the level of defense for this person.
You better get right, because people are not up for abusers anymore, and they're not going to put up with this. And I love that the bad guy is not going to win here. And I feel pretty confident saying that. I think like we all do. And it's unfortunate that people chose the side of abuse, but that's not the winning side this time. And I'm very happy about that, not just for myself, but for all of survivors and women in the country.
It's so interesting. I was at a polling station a few days ago talking to voters, asking, what are you excited about? Like, who'd you vote for? Why'd you vote for them? And there were several women who, maybe they would have voted for Zohran Mamdani because of his policies, but the only thing they said was on someone who sexually assaults women in office. And it I love that, yes. But also amazing, like that. Why would you choose someone like that to run? But also, you're right. Like, we're at a moment in this country where I'm so happy to see that can disqualify you.
This could have been the worst moment in my life and so many survivors' lives, and instead it's one of the best. And that makes me so proud of my conduct.
And moving outside, future of this. Okay, everyone. Sorry, we're having some network issues, but we should be back streaming, and we're just checking with our tech. I think it's working. We apologize for the network issues, and in case anyone didn't hear what Magnad said, he said that we hit 2 million votes in New York City. I'm just going to go back on camera because there's no point in talking behind it. We hit 2 million votes in New York City. It's a record before polls have closed. The highest turnout before polls have closed since 1969. That is incredibly significant. It speaks to the amount of turnout for this election, the amount of excitement for this election. I don't want to jump the gun, but that's likely attributed to the excitement for Zohran Mamdani. Possibly some people coming out being excited to vote against him. We're eventually going to find out the outcome, but more than likely he's brought out new voters, younger voters. Maybe we'll see also that older voters went for him in a higher number than we would have anticipated. Cuomo turned out to be an incredibly weak candidate. And, it's interesting because he turned out to be a weak candidate, not just because he wasn't talking about affordability, but also because he sexually assaulted a lot of women. And again, I just want to go back to what I said to Lindsay. Speaking to people at polls, many women told me that they voted for Mamdani first and foremost because Andrew Cuomo is a sexual assaulter, which means it's really shocking that the Democratic Party chose him of all people, but they typically, like the right wing of the Democratic Party, typically chooses wrong. For those who are just tuning in, just to set the atmosphere here, we are at the official Zohran Mamdani rally, set to take place here very, very soon at Paramount Theater in Brooklyn, in New York City. Polls will be closing in 9 minutes. We're now at 8:51. Right now we're kind of surrounded by media, waiting for the Zohran people to show up, waiting for the staff to show up, the activists that lead the organizations who got him elected to show up, and then there will be a program of speakers which will be live streaming to you here as well. And we hope to get to talk to a variety of people. We have Amar Zar. Get on here. Hi.
Live. Hey, what's going on?
We have Amar Zar. He's here from Dearborn, Michigan.
Yes, I am.
Welcome to New York City. What are you doing here? Election meddling?
I wish. I don't think we have to, though. Hopefully we don't have to tonight. So I am here tonight to witness history, and so that we can be here the night that Palestine wins the New York mayor's race. That's why we're here, to witness this history, because this is going to be a turning point for Palestinian politics in America. If he wins, it means that you can win something like the mayor of New York and speak up for Palestinian rights and not waver. If he loses, it could set us back a lot, but he's not going to lose. He's going to win. So that's why we're here tonight to witness that.
You know, it's interesting. I remember I saw you last year in Dearborn during the presidential election.
Yeah.
Breakthrough News was there on the ground covering it, and that was a weird night because obviously, like we felt we lost no matter who won.
Correct.
As Arabs in this country, but it's been a pretty dark year. So it's interesting. It's been almost a year exactly since that day, and the juxtaposition could not be more different. I'm just curious your thoughts on a year ago Trump winning a national election, and now we have the polar opposite of that, about to hopefully win the New York City mayoral election.
We wouldn't be here without Trump winning twice.
Don't say that. We're going to get in trouble here.
No, I've always said that Trump is going to liberate Palestine by accident.
I disagree with this.
And tonight is one of the first ways that it's going to start. No, listen. Obviously, not just Trump, by the way, Biden, all the terrible policy surrounding Palestine before the genocide, even starting from Sheikh Jarrah, is what has gotten this to this point, right? The strength of the Palestinian people and the strength of Arab Americans standing up for what's right has woken up the rest of the country. And so without those things, which were brought on by immoral leadership in our country, or else we wouldn't have had to stand up in the streets, right? And so that brought us to this moment. So it's a little silver lining in the devastation that we've been living, but it's something that we should hold on to because it's a new dawn, hopefully.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. The mediocre, immoral politicians of both parties will accidentally liberate Palestine.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Look, listen, Biden is going to go down as Genocide Joe. One day when we read, look, today we read Dick Cheney's obituary, and you can't read that without knowing that he lied and killed 1 million Iraqis. And one day when we read Joe Biden's obituary, it's going to be about supporting the genocide of the Palestinian people. And so, yes, there's no parties when it comes to Palestine, unfortunately. Tonight, hopefully, I'm not optimistic, but hopefully the Democratic Party opens up its eyes a little bit after tonight. But I'm not very optimistic.
Yeah, I actually want to elaborate on that for a moment, because I think that's going to be a topic of conversation after tonight's election. It's going to be that kind of ongoing contradiction we see whenever people run inside this party is how do you actually implement these policies when the entire ruling elite is against you? But do you think there's a movement behind Zohran Mamdani that will hold him accountable after tonight? I may be speaking as somebody who's involved in Arab organizing specifically.
Sure. So I take the words of Cornel West. Cornel West, when he was supporting Barack Obama in 2008, said, our job is to get him elected because it'll be historic, but then after that, we must become his biggest critics. And so the same thing with Zohran, right? We're going to have to hold him accountable because if he becomes an Obama, it could be bad for us too, right? So in any case, though, the Democratic Party is going to have to grapple with what happens here tonight when Zohran wins, because they could open up their doors to a whole new generation of people. But a lot of it depends on what Zohran does too. You know, we have to be careful that just because Zohran wins doesn't necessarily mean that the Democratic Party is now a safe space for us. We still have a lot of work to do, right? But Zohran's win is a step in that direction. But it is going to be a signal to us that we have to keep going. It's not the end of a process, it's the beginning of a process.
Well said. Thank you so much, Ahmed Zahed. It's good to see you. Thank you. All right, there you have it, Ahmed Zahed. He's a comedian, if you're not familiar with him. One of our well-known Arab comedians based in Dearborn, Michigan. It seems like the, crowd is starting to thicken out with more Amr types, so we'll be able to hear from people from different communities that are backing Zohran Mamdani. Once again, for those who are just tuning in, we are at the official Zohran Mamdani rally at Paramount Theater in New York City, in Brooklyn, where we're waiting for the election results to come out. It looks like polls close in 3 minutes. And just a reminder, we heard earlier that before the polls closed, there was a record number of voters. 2 million people in this city have come out to vote in this mayoral race. That is the highest number since 1969. That's very significant. It means a huge amount of the population in this city has felt motivated to come out and vote, very likely for Zohran Mamdani and his message of affordability and his message of freezing the rent and his message of, working class policies that will benefit average people and raise the corporate tax rate, raise taxes on billionaires, and on and on and on. And also I want to remind people who are watching, you are watching Breakthrough News. We are an independent media outlet. We're able to bring you streams like this, with analysis like this, because of our independence, but also because of your support. So if you do support the work we do here at Breakthrough News, please consider throwing us some money. It helps us keep going and growing. You can go to patreon.com/Breakthrough News. For as little as $5 a month, you can access exclusive content as well as exclusive merch. But most importantly, you can be supporting an independent media outlet that doesn't take money from pharmaceutical companies or weapons companies, but more importantly, is trying to inform people and hopefully help them to build a better world than the one we live in now. And also, if you are just tuning into Breakthrough News for the first time, please make sure you smash that like button. It helps boost us in the algorithm. Actually, to everybody watching, smash that like button right now. It helps boost us in the algorithm that hates us. But also, make sure you're subscribed to Breakthrough News. Hit the subscribe button right now. And also, hit the bell so that you get a notification whenever we post new content. We don't just do live streams like this. We also have a weekly live stream every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Palestine time, that you can tune into, hosted by me and my colleague Eugene Puryear, where we have many guests to talk about the news items of the week. I also host a show called Dispatches. Usually once every week, I have a really amazing guest come chat with me about really important topics, usually an expert, talk about really important topics and geopolitical developments from around the world and also developments here in the U.S. So check that show out. You can go subscribe to it on all your podcasting platforms as well. We also have the Socialist Program hosted by Brian Becker, the China Report hosted by Amanda Yee. We have so much content we're bringing you from Breakthrough News, also documentaries. I recently made one about the pager attacks in Lebanon. You can go check this out after you're done watching this stream. And I'm going to just plug in one more time. After you make sure you are subscribed to Breakthrough News, also at BT Newsroom on all social media platforms, but especially on this platform because we've been dealing with some YouTube suppression the last few months. Maybe it's algorithmic or maybe they don't like what we're saying. But either way, make sure you're liking our content. Make sure you're watching it. Make sure you're clicking through a few videos and watching enough of it to help make sure that we are coming into your feed, because we're hearing from a lot of our followers recently that they're not seeing our content in their YouTube feeds. So make sure that you're doing all the things to boost us in your algorithm. And also, once again, patreon.com/Breakthrough News. It helps us keep going and growing. We don't just live stream events like this. We often live stream protests. Our very own Craig Birchfield, who's behind the camera right now, was recently live streaming in Chicago outside the Broadview ICE facility. So we're doing a lot here at Breakthrough News with a very small team. And I feel like that's probably enough for the self-promotion. Back to where we are again, Paramount Theater, Brooklyn, New York, waiting to see the election results. I believe polls have now closed because it is 9:01 p.m. And once again, historic numbers this election. 2 million people, at least 2 million people have voted. And that was as of before the polls had closed. That is a record number of voters. Last time it was that high, I was told by somebody very smart, Megned, who will come and speak to us again from a freelancer who works with Dropsite News and Breakthrough News. Last time that happened was 1969. So that's an incredible number. And also, this is an election that is being watched not just in this city, but all across this country and even in many cases around the world. Because Zohran Mamdani is somebody who is, he's running inside the Democratic Party, which I know there's a lot of criticisms of, and we're talking about that tonight, and we'll continue talking about that. But he's running within a party that is funded by the same billionaires he's speaking out against right now. But because of his message, of popular message of affordability, of affordable health care, free health care, of affordable groceries, subsidized groceries, of free child care, and of funding those kinds of things by marginally raising taxes on the wealthiest people in this country, it has excited so many people. I mean, it helps that he's incredibly charming. It helps that he's incredibly on message. It helps that the guy is definitely sharp at dealing with those hostile interviews. It's impressive. That all really helps. But also his campaign has so many movement leaders and movements and people behind it. And also, let's not forget, Zohran Mamdani, Amr was speaking about this. Zohran Mamdani has been unrelenting in his condemnation of Israel's genocide against Gaza. And that's huge. For somebody about to win a mayoral race in a city like New York, that is huge. For the longest time in Democratic Party machine politics, you couldn't criticize Israel. But the base of the Democratic Party, I think Israel's popularity rating is like 8%. The vast majority of the Democratic Party base is vehemently against this genocide in Gaza and what's happening to Palestinians. They condemn it. They're opposed to it. They no longer support Israel. The Democratic Party leadership, however, is still lockstep with Israel because they're imperialists at the end of the day, and Israel is our, proxy in the Middle East to be the spear of American imperialism against its neighbors to control the region. And people are understanding that more and more. They're disgusted by the live stream horrors they've seen on their phone screens for the last 2 years. Katie, come back. And I was just talking about how one of the most amazing and interesting and significant things about this election is what it means for the Democratic Party when it comes to the issue of Israel moving forward, and how the base of the Democratic Party has overwhelmingly turned against Israel, against the genocide in Gaza, and increasingly supports Palestinians. And when you go by age, it's like, there's barely anyone. And I think what's interesting about what's happening in New York City specifically is it has the second highest Jewish population in the world, right? And obviously we're seeing with the fact that a lot of Jews in this city do support Zohran Mamdani despite the attacks on him. The New York Times or the Washington Post editorial board in that article I mentioned earlier actually lied and said that Zohran Mamdani used to support eliminationist rhetoric against Jews, but now he's stepped back from that. They're still smearing him, but it hasn't worked.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible, honestly. Every time I hear stats about support for Palestine, I'm so inspired because it's already inspiring and it's changed so much, but to know it's changed that much despite all the institutional bias and all the institutional support for Israel, all the synagogues, all the media, all the political elites. And, there was a really disturbing video of a liberal, quote-unquote liberal rabbi from Central Synagogue, which is in Manhattan, saying that Zohran was anti-Semitic or engaging in anti-Semitic rhetoric because he said something about how when the NYPD has its boot on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. No, that's not anti-Semitic trope. That's because the IDF trains the NYPD. And I wish that this woman realized, obviously for you and me, we care about Palestinians, and it's not okay to support what Israel does. This woman obviously couldn't care less. I wish these people realized what they're doing in terms of Jewish safety, which they claim to care about. And I know it's a little cringe to talk about that, but guys, wake the hell up. You think that it's good for the Jews for you standing there as a Jewish official, as a rabbi, and saying that it's not a genocide when the entire world sees it as genocide? You think it's good for the Jews when you have Jewish figures crapping on someone for daring to call a genocide? Or pointing out that the IDF trains the NYPD? The irony is, Jews like me get called self-loathing a lot. And I know your audience and my audience, we don't need to explain to them this to make the point. But if any normie is watching this, I just wish you realize that if you're a Jew defending Israel, you are putting Jews in danger. We just have to be clear about this because the entire world sees what they're doing. And the more Jews co-sign this and say that it's not just okay, but an expression of a Jewish state or Jewish values, don't you realize what you're doing? This is again, I don't want to center Jewish feelings, but I have to say,
you're allowed to care about your community.
This is the first time in my entire life where I felt any self-interest in this. Again, I've cared about this forever because it's so deplorable to watch the genocide, slow or fast, of Palestinians, the ethnic cleansing, the racism, the dehumanization. But this is the first time where I'm guys, I know you don't care about Palestinians. I get that. But don't you care about, your own safety? Do you not realize what's happening? How is this going to end?
It's interesting because it's almost like these people like Chuck Schumer, like Bill Ackman, are trying to wrap Jewish identity up, not just with Israel, but in capitalism. And because they're using it to try to distract, the anti-Semitic trope, they're trying to use Israel issue to distract people from the socialist ideas that are being put forward for free healthcare and free groceries. And what was it when is it Kathy Hochul? Sorry, I'm not from New
Kathy
York.
Hochul.
Governor Kathy Hochul of New York at the Zohran Mamdani rally last week in Brooklyn. She endorsed him. She came and spoke, and people were chanting as she spoke, "Tax the rich." And they were chanting it aggressively because she's a centrist Democrat, moderate Democrat, right? But then there was people who are defending the status quo who were trying to say that was an anti-Semitic trope to say tax the rich. Like, you see the Bill Ackman types coming up. They're trying to wrap Jewish identity up and opposing any progressive policy in this country.
Right. Yeah. It is, it's really... Okay, yeah. No, I think what you're saying is true, Rania. I think it's a little bit like... That's almost like the least of it. I think what you're saying is really astute because I think, yes, what you're saying is astute.
Wait, real quick, I don't want to interrupt you. You're going to say a really good thing. I just want to let our audience know that Zohran Mamdani currently has 51.5% of votes. That's with 36% of votes counted so far. So he's already with 36% of votes counted. It's just 36%, but that's not nothing. He's got over half of the votes, 51.5%. So he's currently leading Andrew Cuomo by, I don't know how much. Actually, if we could get the rest of the other votes, I want to know what the breakdown is so far with everybody. But that's really significant. But to go back to what you were saying, sorry.
No, I think what you were saying is really smart. Hold on. Very astute and insightful. It's almost like, to me, it's so irresponsible because, oh my God, I don't even know how to talk about this except for, this is a safe space because you know that I don't send.
Breakthrough News is a safe space.
No, it is, right? But I know you know, it is really infuriating to watch people weaponize anti-Semitism and to say it's anti-Semitic to state facts because not only will this create a backlash and resentment towards Jews, but when there is an actual thing like the Parkland, like the Tree of Life synagogue shooting, that's anti-Semitism, right? When a Jew anti-Semitic, he's like
KKK.
KKK, yeah, exactly. But it is a scary time, and that's, again, Jews, I want you to wake up to the fact that Israel is not good for us.
Wake up, Jews.
Jews, wake up. Seriously.
Ladies' message tonight. But also, to be fair, too, there are a lot of Jews supporting Zohran.
No, that's true, yeah. Right. So I guess it's the Jews who don't get it already really wake up and just realize that, look, this was a perfect moment. John Podhoretz from the neocon, remember when Trump said something about Shylock?
Yes.
And he said he can say Shylock 100 times because he supports Israel. Well, look who you're getting in bed with now.
You might as well get in bed with David Duke at that point. If David Duke supported Israel, they'd be fine with him.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's probably his one exception to David Duke is that he's not pro-Israel enough.
Really incredible. Yeah. All right, we're going to take just a minute to take some water, drink some water. No hot mic moments this time, so I'm going to give the mic over to Craig. We will be right back. Just a moment, guys.
If you're just tuning in, this is Breakthrough News. We are live here at the Zohran Mamdani Election Night Rally. We'll be bringing you coverage all night long, including the program, which is set to start at any minute. We're here with host Rania Khalek, interviewing people who have come out to celebrate this historic, what looks like to be a historic win. Stay tuned for more interviews and more coverage.
I can ask questions.
Guys, we are special. Rania. Hello, come on over. I'm going to shake your hand. It's a pleasure to meet you. We have with us Brad Lander. Okay, you're going to laugh at me. I am not from New York City.
Where are you from?
I'm from Virginia.
Okay.
But
good night in Virginia tonight as well.
Yeah, we have a governor's race in Virginia, but this one's more exciting.
I agree.
Sorry, Virginia. But you are the New York City comptroller. What's a comptroller?
Like chief financial officer. Yeah, manage the money.
Okay. He's the manage the money guy.
Yeah.
And you endorsed Zohran Mamdani a while back. We see he's high in the polls or in the count right now.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what made you endorse him?
Well, we couldn't let Andrew Cuomo anywhere near City Hall, and my goodness, the last couple of days he has shown why. What a dark and twisted human being who's willing to weaponize anti-Semitism, engage in Islamophobia, burn the city down, if that's what would make him, think he had a chance to be mayor. So we couldn't let that happen. But also Zohran is running this hopeful, energetic campaign to make this a city everyone can afford. And at this time with Trump in the White House, beating down on us, we need to be unified with hopeful energy, and Zohran's bringing it.
Well, so you mentioned a few things that Andrew Cuomo was doing. And interestingly enough, he lost in the Democratic primary, ran as an independent, but obviously certain forces within the Democratic Party, your party, backed him. So what do you think about the future of this party, especially after what we're witnessing tonight? There does seem to be a bit of a tug of war taking place, especially between the base and the leadership. The base of the party, I think, seems to be very much behind the policies promoted by Zohran Mamdani. The leadership is a bit of a different story. What are you guys going to do about it?
Well, look, tonight what we're going to do is elect Zohran mayor of New York City with a majority of votes and the energy that says this is the future we want. Now, Zohran is showing people everywhere, fight for affordability, do it with hope, bring people together. There's different ways of doing that in different parts of the country, and that's fine. We have primaries. Sometimes progressive candidates win them. Sometimes moderate candidates win them because in some cases they're the ones with the charisma, the energy, the ideas. Boy, that's not the case in this race. When the primary's done, the Democratic Party should pull together. If we're going to be a Big Ten, if there's going to be unity, if the base is going to bring its energy, then you can't have leaders abandoning the candidate. And over the last 24 hours, the people who joined Andrew Cuomo's team were Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Stephen Miller.
Right?
Democrats should be embarrassed if they couldn't say, I am not going to be on the Musk-Miller-Trump team.
And then, you mentioned the weaponization of anti-Semitism, which was used so hard against Zohran Mamdani. You yourself are Jewish. Lots of Jewish support for Zohran Mamdani. Lots of Jews against. It's a community of divided opinions. But I'm just curious, how you feel that the kind of wrapping up of Jewish safety and supporting a particular ideology, or in the case of making Israel central to this race and trying to weaponize anti-Semitism that way, how do you feel that harms?
Yeah, well, first, let's be clear. Andrew Cuomo wasn't trying to make Jews safe. He was trying to make Jews afraid in order to vote for him. That's all he wanted. And so, unfortunately, it's a time of a lot of anxiety, and a lot of people fell for that. But then even worse, to have 1,000 rabbis sign a letter against Zohran, but not speak up when Andrew Cuomo said appallingly Islamophobic things, or when Stephen Miller, who, is not a friend of Jews, gets in the race. So look, from my point of view, and this was part of what the cross endorsement with Zohran did, Muslims and Jews cannot be divided from each other. Our safety, our freedom, our thriving, it's bound up together. And look, I think that's true in the 5 boroughs of New York City, and I think that's true in Israel and Palestine. Not so crazy to say, what would it look like to recognize that we have to look out for each other's safety, not like it's either mine or yours.
So I also wanted to ask you about the fact that, I know obviously everyone's going to be celebrating tonight, right? But then comes the day after, and you've got Donald Trump promising to basically punish this city if they elect Zohran Mamdani. Are you guys talking about this? Are there conversations about how you're going to deal with it? This is a really serious threat.
Well, let's be clear. It's already happening. Every day our neighbors are being abducted at 26 Federal Plaza, where I go weekly to try to stand up and protect. He's already, Elon Musk stole $80 million from New York last February, and Eric Adams could barely be bothered to talk about it. So Yes, I mean, part of electing Zohran, hopefully with a nice big majority tonight, is to say New Yorkers are coming together. So when Donald Trump comes, it's not Donald Trump versus Zohran Mamdani, it's Donald Trump versus New York City. And New York City is going to win that fight. You know, in Portland they have cartoon frogs and naked bike rides. I don't know. Here we got the Statue of Liberty. We stand up and fight for our neighbors. Maybe we'll do outdoor dining against Trump. I wish it weren't going to happen. But since it is going to happen, bringing the diverse set of people that were out, 2 million strong, to vote today, that's the kind of energy that we need.
I can tell you guys are brainstorming because I heard outdoor dining for Trump.
Doesn't that sound
Yeah,
good?
it sounds good. Lastly, I want to ask you, you have all these movements behind Zohran Mamdani, and he's been making the point in a lot of his interviews and videos saying it doesn't stop once I'm elected. Like, this is not just to get me elected electorally. You guys need to keep pushing. So I'm curious your message to those on-the-ground people, because when you guys are dealing with the people in Albany and with the people in D.C., you're going to need to look and point to the fact that there's 1 million people in the streets of New York who are demanding we raise corporate tax rates, so we don't have a choice. So what's your message to the people who helped get Zohran elected? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, we have to keep organizing, and the next stop will be in Albany to win universal child care and the resources necessary for it. And everybody knows that 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds in New York City need child care. How can parents survive without it? We can have it if Albany provides the resources, but that's only going to happen if we show up. So we got to show up against Trump. We got to show up for affordability and for childcare. And of course, we got to keep going and fighting and winning elections as well, because taking back Congress and winning more of the politics New Yorkers and Americans can believe in, like, that's what tonight is about.
Get rid of Stephen Miller, man. Get rid of Stephen Miller. Thank you so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. So we've got a lineup of people who want to talk to Mr. Lander over here. New York City Comptroller. Sorry for my moment of ditziness, not knowing what a comptroller is. Just a second. I'm going to move out the way for a moment, and we'll be back.
If you're just tuning in, this is Breakthrough News live from the Zohran Mamdani Election Night Rally. We're bringing you coverage all night long. The program is set to start at any minute. Our host, Rania Khalek, has been giving analysis and interviewing people here who are here to celebrate on what looks like a historic night and a historic win for the Mamdani team.
How do you say your last name?
Vasicus.
Vasicus.
Yeah.
Morgan, it's so good to meet
so good
you.
to meet you.
Oh, come. All right. We're back, and we've got another great guest with us. We've got Morgan Vasicus.
That's right.
From Jewish Voice for Peace.
That's right.
Our friends from Jewish Voice, come closer.
Okay,
closer.
great.
Our friends from Jewish Voice for Peace are representing tonight. Morgan, what's up? What's going on? What are you doing here?
I'm here because Jewish Voice for Peace Action was day one endorsers of Zohran's campaign. We have been with him in the streets, calling for the end of U.S. military funding to Israel, calling from the very beginning for a permanent ceasefire. He has been speaking out for Palestinian liberation and freedom from the beginning, and I'm just so excited to join with other communities for a city that we all deserve, one that's affordable and just.
I mean, there's a lot happening. I want to go to the issue of Palestine because that's obviously what you are active on. So a lot of people at our channel, Breakthrough News, care about. Zohran has been so outspoken. What do you think the significance of somebody calling out Israeli genocide, and not just that, refusing to recognize Israel as a Jewish supremacist state? He has stuck by that. He's continued to say, I support Israel's existence as a state with equal rights for all its citizens. And that matters, and that's what's been pissing a lot of people off. What's the significance of somebody about to win a race this big and this national, really, on that platform.
That's right. No, you hit it on the nose, which is that no longer is speaking out for Palestinian freedom a liability. It is an asset. We need to see you speak out for Palestine to throw our support behind you, or else we don't believe you. We want moral consistency, which means you stand for the liberation of everybody, including Palestinians. So he is on time with the clock of the world. The world is standing up for Palestine. The world knows that Israel is a genocidal settler colonial state and is saying no. And so it is so powerful to see him join with those millions around the world and say, no, consistency. And that's what is getting us excited. That's why we at Jewish Voice for Peace were day one endorsers, because we're like, yes, we want moral consistency.
And it's so weird because if you watch the mainstream media, Zohran Mamdani is very scary for Jews. So I think it's interesting that we don't ever see your perspective on CNN, but also the weaponization of anti-Semitism in this campaign has been so insane. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
It's absolutely horrifying, and we'll call it what it is. Racism, Islamophobia, white supremacy. This is old stuff that's just being recycled to somehow paint him as scary, somehow weaponize the accusation of anti-Semitism against him, and it's really disgusting, and it's been horrifying to watch and really sickening, and that's why we have been out there every single day knocking doors saying, no, New York Jews, we're with Zohran.
And I also wanted to ask, I think a lot of people on the left especially are, excited, but also a bit, contradiction in the sense, okay, but he is running inside the Democratic Party, and we've seen, Democratic insurgent candidates like this get kind of swallowed up by the machine. So what is an organization like yours going to do to hold Zohran accountable? What are we seeing? Humani Williams is the winner of the Public Advocate of New York City. All right, and we've got Mark Levine, winner of Comptroller. Okay, this is more local, so we'll go back to that. But yeah, sorry to my question. Yeah. What are you going to do to hold him accountable? Because I think that's in the past, people keep making this point about Obama. Is Obama won and then everybody went home?
Yes. Well, Obama, I think, was never based in...
Well, Obama also was not anywhere near as radical, of the politics of Zohran Mamdani.
I mean, I think our responsibility as movements is to make the agenda and the promises that he has run on happen. That's our responsibility, to create the conditions in which those promises are implemented. So it's, yes, about holding him accountable, but also doing our work to make those inevitable. Our work does not end tonight. Our work begins tomorrow.
And also, with regard to what that means... What does that mean? You're in a movement. You're a part of a very important activist organization. A lot of activists watch this channel. So what does that mean? Whether you helped get Zohran elected, whether you supported him from afar, whether, you're like, screw this system, I don't want to be a part of it. If you're involved in movement activism, what does it mean to hold someone accountable once they're elected?
I think it's about finding a political home and an organization that you feel really aligned with, and saying and staying close to what you believe in. There's a million rules for a million different people. There's no one right way. And I think all of us, it's about holding him to his promises and then making the conditions possible for those promises to actually actualize, and not compromising on our values. That's what's going to be, and I don't think anyone knows how this is going to go. We're walking into the unknown, but this is a risk that it feels like the honor of a lifetime to get to take together.
Well, when someone's surrounded by entrenched political power and elites, that's going to be coming down so hard on them. So they're going to need to look outside and say, I've got a million people on the streets demanding I do A, B, and C.
That's right. That's exactly right. Our work to show our numbers in the streets that we are on the side of an affordable New York City, of a New York City that's divested from the genocidal state of Israel, of the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. That's our responsibility to not let up one bit.
All right, well, thank you so much. It's so good to meet you. And we'll see you around here, yeah? Maybe we can chat some more. Okay. Katie wants to talk to you.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah. Oh, do you want to ask?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to take the mic for a second? Katie's going to take over and we're working for just a moment.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, let's Jew out. Let's Jew down. Hold on. All right. So.
Before you do, I do need to say one thing. Just an update, and then we'll go back to you guys. Okay, quick update. Latest results as of 1 minute ago. 60% of votes are in. Someone's AirPods are trying to connect. 60% of votes are in. Zohran Mamdani has 49.6%. That's 677,615 votes. Andrew Cuomo, 41.6%. 568,488 votes. So I'm sure the Zohran campaign is sitting there hoping that they can get over that 50% line. There's still 40% of votes to be counted, so we'll see. And it looks like Curtis Sliwa, the Republican candidate, has 108,377 votes. That's 7.9% of the votes. And it looks like Zohran Mamdani is winning almost all sections of the Bronx, with different percentages reporting from each district, so that hasn't even been completely counted. And I think that's interesting because I think that's where he was struggling a little bit. We'll see how that plays out. I want to say thank you to our managing editor, Ben Becker, for keeping me on the know of this information. I'm going to hand the microphone to Katie for a moment and get some water, and she's going to talk to me.
Thank you. Hi, Morgan. How's it going? All right. How are you?
Excited, thrilled, hopeful. Yeah.
So you are very active with Jewish Voice for Peace. What makes Zohran someone that Jewish Voice for Peace got behind with so much enthusiasm?
Yes. Jewish Voice for Peace Action was a day one endorser of Zohran's campaign because we've been in the streets with him. We've been organizing with him for Palestinian freedom and for an end to U.S. military funding to Israel for years. So we know this person and have organized along the side of this person, so it was a no-brainer to say, we want to throw everything behind your campaign. And as we saw, there was horrific racist onslaughts of people weaponizing the accusation of anti-Semitism against him and saying somehow New York Jews don't feel safe with him. This is ludicrous, racist, Islamophobic propaganda. And so we were really proud to be there every single day knocking doors for Zohran.
I mean, the irony is that it's also gonna foment anti-Semitism. The idea that a bunch of Jews hate this guy. You know, I mean, you and I care about this issue because Palestinians are human beings. Yeah. But the irony is that, this is not good for Jews, constantly accusing people of anti-Semitism. Now, I want you to comment on that. Then my other question for you is, were you surprised by how successful he was? Not because he doesn't deserve that, but given how much institutionalized racism, Islamophobia there is, and Zionism.
Yes. I mean, what's so clear is this is not a referendum on him, but on this agenda that we all share. This is a referendum on how clearly our city is hungry, urgently hungry for an affordable city that we all can live in, and is urgent and is hungry for moral consistency, for people who will speak out for the freedom of all people, including Palestinians. We have moved past the era of being progressive except for Palestine. It cannot fly anymore. It will not fly. We see it and we call it out. And so it's amazing to see his success, but his success is really about the success of movements and organizing that created this victory.
Right. And the fact that he and you guys can overcome all the institutionalized support for Israel, all the institutionalized racism, it makes the stats and his support all the more. I mean, it's so inspiring on its own, but knowing that this is despite all the pressure, all the political elites and media elites in lockstep saying someone like Zohran is a threat is just so inspiring.
Yes, and as we were on the doors, as Jewish New Yorkers saying we are so excited to support this candidate, the conversations we had were amazing. And we talked to so many people who resonated so deeply with the need for an affordable city and the need for a mayor who will take principled stances about the rest of the world. And we don't want to be complicit. Our city, we don't want to be complicit. There's a deep feeling of we want to be on the right side of history, and that's what I saw over and over again on the doors.
Now I see you have a shirt that says "Gays for Zohran." Okay, now tell me, was there a lot of pressure? Did you feel some pressure to do a hot gays for Cuomo the way that there were hot girls for Cuomo?
It was very tempting to do hot gays for Cuomo. There was a lot of pressure on us. I think maybe there was no one who kind of fit that bill, so yeah, it didn't work out.
Well, thank you, Morgan, so much. Everyone check out Morgan's work. It's amazing.
Thank you again, Morgan. Katie, stay with me. I've got New York updates. You're from New York. So, Cuomo, this is not going to surprise anyone, including me, and I'm not even from New York, is winning Staten Island.
The Rock. Staten Island is where they voted to secede once. I wish they would secede. Get out of here, Staten Island. Yeah, Staten Island is where... I'm trying to remember. There's a very funny statistic about Staten Island voting for something. I can't remember it, but
Cuomo,
yeah, not surprising at all. I mean, Staten Island is really fascinating. It's a combination of very middle to upper class Italian Americans and then much poorer black Americans, and there is a combination of low voter turnout there from the group and high voter turnout.
It's a working class area.
It is, but it has a lot of richer Italian, working to middle class Italian Americans. I'm generalizing here, but they tend to. That's where you'll find probably the most Cuomo support.
Well, also, we can't forget that people defended Cuomo's sexual assault of women by saying he wasn't sexually assaulting them, he's just an Italian. They're handsy. Yeah. If I was Italian, I would have found that so offensive.
Well, his brother, Chris, says that Fredo is like the N-word, so...
Well, but it's okay if Cuomo's anti-Italian. Then we've got Cuomo's also winning Southwest Brooklyn, historically more conservative, but the rest of Brooklyn is solidly Mamdani in some areas by huge margins, like 80%. So, still waiting. Oh, and then I've got some more updates from managing editor Ben Becker. Once again, shout out, Ben. Thank you so much. Cuomo's winning some of the more middle class and conservative areas of Queens, Forest Hills, Rego Park, sorry guys, Fresh Meadows, but the more working class...
Fresh Meadows, that's terrible to hear, yeah.
But the more working class immigrant centers of Queens, like Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, Woodhaven, Richmond Hill, are all going for Mamdani. That's actually where we made a video a few days ago talking to early voters at the polls, most of whom were going for Zohran, so that's no surprise. And it looks like, based on what we're seeing on the TV broadcast behind me, Zohran is now at 52 or 51.3%. You hear the cheers. The crowd is thrilled. And you've got Andrew Cuomo at 40%. Curtis Sliwa at 7.7%. That is it with, I'm not sure how many votes are in yet. But I think we're going to have some pretty early concessions tonight based on these numbers.
That's amazing. And once again, I want to give a shout out. I got to give a shout out to Curtis Sliwa for his amazing line. I think maybe this had some impact when he said that Cuomo was killing grannies and slapping fannies. I'm never going to stop.
What did I miss? Sorry.
Oh, I'm just giving Curtis Sliwa once again some credit for his great line where he said that Cuomo was guilty of killing grannies and slapping fannies.
I mean, Kenya. The projected winner of the New York City mayoral race is Zohran Mamdani. This crowd, I don't even know if you can hear me over it. This crowd is thrilled. They're screaming. AP is calling it for Zohran Mamdani. That's basically official, folks. Zohran Mamdani, 34 years old, Muslim, immigrant. Katie's got goosebumps.
I did not think I was going to have that. I have to say.
Mayor of New York City is a 34-year-old Muslim immigrant, Democratic socialist who wants to give the city free childcare, free healthcare, says there's a genocide in Gaza. This is huge. This is more of a national election than a local one. This is a huge shift for the Democratic Party, which I imagine the leadership of this party is panicking. They're sitting around tables trying to probably figure out how they can pacify Zohran Mamdani and his base.
I did not think it was going to be this fast, and I did not think I was going to get so emotional.
It's not even an hour after polls close. It is 38 minutes after polls close, and Zohran Mamdani is already being called the winner.
Such an FU to the corporate, moribund husk of the Democratic Party. He did this despite the fact that the Dems refused to endorse him, and they, of course, did that because they're a bunch of cowards who can't ever get behind the moral position, and the moral issue of our time is Gaza. And I know that this is about affordability, but this is amazing. I'm really much more emotional than I thought I would be, because, again, this is someone who ran on the idea that Palestinians are human beings and that New Yorkers can get behind this, and I did not think, wow. I mean, this is, I don't mean to sound...
No, listen, Katie, I totally understand. I live in Lebanon. I am Arab. I see Palestine as part of where I'm from. And, I have my criticisms. I will continue to have my criticisms. As somebody in journalism, I will hold this man accountable. I hope his movement will as well. But it's really, really hard to see, not to look at this and recognize, or at least feel a little bit seen.
Yeah,
As somebody from a region that's constantly being bombed by an ethno-supremacist state that has almost majority support from the leadership of this country, to have somebody so young run on a platform recognizing that this ethno-supremacist state is committing genocide with our money, with weapons that our tax dollars pay for, to have him win when just a few years ago this was an issue. It was unthinkable.
It was political suicide. You could not do this. And I gotta say, sorry to Jew out and everything, but like, this is a Jewish city, and I'm so proud that we can like put to death the idea that Jews do not support people who believe in rights for Palestinians. I mean, again, sorry, I don't mean to be self-indulgent about this, but I'm proud of New Yorkers also, but wow. I can't get over this. I did not think it would be this quick. I didn't think I'd be that emotional. But it's amazing. And it's not just Israel, obviously, but look, let's be real. For people like you and me who have been taught that we cannot have someone politically viable who's correct on this issue, obviously affordability and socialism is exciting, but I'm sorry. We're socialists, can I say that?
Of course, yes, you can say we're socialists.
I mean, the idea that you can call this a genocide and win the mayoralty of New York effing City is unreal. I'm so happy. And look, we got to hold his feet to the fire, but how exciting is it that we're going to have a mayor like him whose feet we have to hold to the fire?
And what it means for politics moving forward in this country. You can run using the word socialist to identify yourself, and you can call out genocide against Palestinians. You can say you support their rights and you oppose Israeli Jewish supremacy and settler colonialism, and you can win in the financial capital of the freaking world. That is huge, and that is what is going to inspire, I think, a different kind of politics across the country moving forward with elections. Also, it's going to lead the ruling class in this country. These people are panicking right now.
Yeah.
They are panicking right now. This is a huge cultural and political shift, and I think tonight you're going to see a lot of celebrations. We're going to see Zohran speak at some point.
There's V, the former E. Vensler, if you want to. Yeah.
Former, oh yes.
Vensler there, V. Anyway.
No, here you go. Well, okay, we're walking this way. Do you want us to come this way? Hey guys. All right, for those who are just tuning in, we are at the Zohran Mamdani rally at Paramount Theater in New York, and I'm sorry if I'm screaming. It's so loud here. I forget I have a microphone. And I'm being told that Zohran will be speaking, addressing the crowd shortly. The feeling in this room, obviously we're with his biggest supporters, his base, and lots of media, but it is electric. It's a pep rally. It's celebration. But a lot of people we've been speaking to as well who've been involved in his campaign are saying they will celebrate tonight, and then tomorrow they continue to go to work, because he's going to be facing, not to be a Debbie Downer, but it's just the reality of the situation, he's going to be facing a ruling class in this country that is so entrenched in the politics of New York City, in the politics nationally, that are going to try to make sure he cannot follow through on any of his promises, because they are direct material threats to their control over this country and its finances and its resources and its future. And Zohran Mamdani is going to need the people in the movement that helped get him elected, as he said today, to continue to show up, to hold him accountable, and to continue to struggle for all of the policies he wants to enact. But in order to do it, he's going to need them to keep pushing. I'm sure people in this room understand that. They're saying they do, but tonight...
Look, I'm very excited, but we have to do those two things at the same time. We have to celebrate, be excited, and not let our guard down. Because this is a time where it's very tempting to celebrate, and we're going to want to defend him from the haters, and we're going to have to do that, but
Look who we have here! Hi! Oh my God, it's so good to see you!
Sorry.
We have...
Hi. Oh, is this live?
Yeah, you're live. We have a Rahma Zain who has been on Dispatches. She's been on Breakthrough News before. Egyptian activist.
Because they're my friends, so they have to host me. It's part of being friends.
Girl, what are you doing in New York?
So I was visiting my friends. No, I'm joking. So I had something here, but, I saw all the New Yorkers just so happy that they're finally seeing a politician who's not being paid by APEC, and a lot of disheartened people who are finally getting into the politics because they're realizing what's happening inside the U.S. affects the rest of the world, and then ultimately gets back to their homes.
Well, so I love that you're here right now, because I was saying how this is not just being watched in New York, not just being watched in New York. Internationally, your family's from Egypt, you're in Egypt, you're in Dubai, you're across the region, you were just in Beirut. Why is this important to you as somebody who's often outside of the U.S.?
It's so interesting. You know, the U.S. could have utilized how Mamdani has made this so international. He's made this so global by being so one of a kind that they could have used this to actually help their economy through tourism. But instead, what we as an international audience are watching is we're watching very racist, very Islamophobic tweets against this guy. So what I would say to the thought leaders and the politicians of the U.S. who keep preaching democracy to us is we're watching how you're treating this guy. For example, Trump, who ought to be putting America first, is willing to defund New York because a guy he doesn't like would win. That doesn't seem very America first to me, that he's willing to get Americans to suffer. It's scary, and we're watching that as an international audience.
Yeah, it's super crazy, but it's also like we're also watching somebody who won an election at this level calling out genocide.
Yes, and the fact that he is so outspoken, and the thing is, this is, I think, what Americans are starting to realize. The Palestinian cause affects them back home. The surveillance that's being used on Palestinians is being used on American citizens. The money that could be better used for homes here, the taxpayer money that instead is being poured into an occupation that is not helping the U.S. We've seen how many times the U.S. has interfered, and it hasn't been a good look for them, and it hasn't been an economically smart move. I mean, we saw the embarrassing withdrawal of Afghanistan that almost cost Biden his presidency, and you would think Trump would learn from that, but instead they're just continuing for no reason, because Israel is not a good look for you PR-wise. It's not making progress in the region, and if you dare think it's the only democracy in the Middle East, which was a tale as old as time rumor, it's ridiculous. Anyway, Hassan is here.
We're gonna throw in Hassan. It was so good to see you.
Yeah,
We'll
but
talk
say
to
hi.
you. Hey, what's up? Good to see you.
I've been trying to...
Wait, you're live.
Yeah, we're live. We're live right now. You're so tall. Can you fit under this or over this? Can you climb through? I don't think you can. All right, guys, we got. Hey.
Queen's Bar President.
Oh, wait, 1 second. Let me talk. We'll discuss. Hassan Piker, we've got you on Breakthrough News again. You've been a famous fixture in this election campaign. How many new followers have you gotten because of Andrew Cuomo?
I don't know, but all the grandparents that are furiously Googling Hassan Piker 9/11, I hope you saw all my meat pics. I posted it for you, Grandma. All the grandmas out there.
Grandma's for Hassan Piker, guys. You heard it here. So you've been covering this campaign relentlessly. You've been mentioned in it. You've interviewed Zohran. You've been in and out of New York during rallies. He just won. What are your thoughts?
I feel ecstatic. I feel electric. I feel like I was banking way too much on this campaign because I was holding on to it for dear life. I was like, please, something good. I'm not a praying man. I'm Muslim, but I'm not exactly a very good Muslim in general. And I was literally praying. I was like, this morning I woke up, I was like, please, something, please, just a crumb of a hope. Fuck.
Well, listen, also, one thing I love about you is you're funny and you're really great at streaming, but you're also smart as hell.
Oh,
and
thank you.
And one thing, I know you're going to understand this. I think that a lot of people on the left are sitting here, they're excited, they want to be excited, but they've been hurt by people who've run inside the party like this in the past. So I think that this is a moment to reflect on when the day after comes, what should people be doing once Zohran's elected to make sure his policies actually have a fighting chance? Because they can't just go home.
I mean, look, I will use my platform to speak truth to power and to ensure that whatever agenda he has, that is, as long as it's placing the working class first, I will be by his side. I will make sure that I will mobilize to ensure that we get it done. And that same promise goes for every single Democrat. If you place, it doesn't matter where your background is, if you have a working class first politics and you are willing to put yourself out there to fight for the working class all around the world, I will be there by your side. I will door knock for you. I will make sure that I mobilize for you, and we will get this done. We will get your agenda done.
What do you think it means that this guy ran as a socialist and anti-communism didn't work to stop him? That's big.
Yeah, I think we are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately. And the reality of the matter is there's a lot of antagonism. There's no class consciousness in the United States of America. It's one of the things that I try to address every day with my commentary. And I will say this. The conditions have deteriorated so much that everyday Americans, in spite of their lack of class consciousness, are finally arriving at the conclusion that perhaps there is an alternative out there. There is an alternative that focuses on them as opposed to the interests of the billionaires and the millionaires, as opposed to the interests of the capital owners. And, I mean, you can't help but notice that. You can't help but feel at least a little bit of excitement around that.
And then also the significance that he ran on a platform of opposing Israeli genocide.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, fuck Israel every day. It's fuck Israel o'clock, and you don't get punished for saying fuck Israel anymore. That's all I'm saying. Look, I was number 2. I lost to Candace Owens, who is kind of whatever when it comes to Jewish people. But, like, I'm not anti-Semitic. And yet, Jonathan Greenblatt, that bald fuck, spent every fucking waking moment yelling about me instead of Nick Fuentes, bitch. What happened? All the Republicans you defended are now turning around and being like, maybe we should be anti-Semitic. What happened, Jonathan? That's all I'm going to say. But also, more importantly than that, being honest about the unlimited violence that Israel has subjected Palestinian people to, Israel has subjected Lebanese people to, this is Syrian people to, like, this is the people in Yemen, like, this is important to be able to address truthfully. And I think that's the reason why you have so many people that lost their fucking mind. Shouts out to Deborah Messing. Hey, Deborah, take your lithium, Deborah. You posting like 120 fucking Instagram stories. What now, Deborah Messing?
What about Michael Rappaport?
Oh, my God. I want to see him so bad.
I hope he's here
I want
tonight.
to see what he's up to.
I want to ask you one more thing, and then I think Katie wants to steal you. Hassan, and all, like, to be, like, not to be a Debbie Downer, however, what about the issue with the NYPD and keeping Jessica Tisch on as commissioner? She's from a billionaire family who's very hostile to this guy. What are we going to do about that?
I'm definitely worried about that. I'm definitely worried about that, and we will hold Zohran to account as well. If Jessica Tisch doesn't at least promise to deliver on whatever agenda Zohran has, I don't know if it was just a mechanism of, like, winning the election, if he was trying to just do that, or if he genuinely has confidence in Jessica Tisch. I don't, personally. I think she is a dynastic name in New York. I mean, her family name is on the side of NYU, you know what I mean? It's very difficult to trust people like that, especially if you are trying to do right by the working class. But we'll see. Maybe she's a class traitor. Maybe Jessica Tisch is actually a class traitor who is going to bring about the revolutionary core within the NYPD, and they're going to actually defend working class New Yorkers against the federal encroachment that is going to take place inevitably.
Well, there's that, and there's also, it makes me think about, like, if you take over a country, you got to get the armed forces on your side.
I agree.
But you got to put loyalists in place. She's not a loyalist. So I don't know what that's about. We'll have to wait and see. But lastly, Trump is coming for this city. What do they do? What do we do? I mean, how does this work out? Trump is going to try to coup this city.
This city is robust. This city is massive. This is the heart of capitalism in many ways. He can try, but I do think that at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the people versus these corrupt, authoritarian monsters who try to enact the agenda of billionaires and millionaires. And I don't think he has the popular mandate at all. So I don't think he'll be able to successfully make any sort of change and even hurt the New Yorkers. I think it's important that we have someone who will be leading that charge and will be a fighter for everyday New Yorkers.
Also, Hassan, do you know I work out as much as you do?
That's not surprising. You're in great shape.
Thank you. I know, but I don't get credit for this. I want you to come on my podcast. I want to talk politics. I want to talk exercise. Emily, get Hassan's number so we can get him on. I appreciate people on the left. Yeah, we got it. I appreciate people on the left. I appreciate people on the left who work out. I want to start a gym called Red Zone.
Yes, I like that. I call it the Swoletariat.
Yeah, go. Steal him, but seriously, no. Take this for a second.
Hey, so if you're tuning in now, it's Breakthrough News live at the Mamdani Election Night Rally. AP has called it. Zohran Mamdani wins race for mayor. We just had Hassan Piker on. Stay tuned. Our host, Rania Khalek, will be back momentarily.
We got former Congressman Jamal Bowman on Breakthrough News. Jamal, what's up? What are you doing here tonight?
Oh, man, I'm soaking it all in. This is really incredible, man. You know, again, I'm thinking like historically, right? Like all of the fights for humanity and justice around the world and in this country from the very beginning, to end slavery, to end Jim Crow, to, women's rights, housing justice, labor like all of the organizing and all of the people that demanded better for their city or their county or their state or the country, and people who've given their lives for us to be in this moment. It's just so overwhelming and powerful. I'm got goosebumps talking about it. And for Zohran, shout out to his mom and dad for raising such an incredible young man, and for him to have not just the confidence. I think it's more than that. It's and again, I haven't talked to him yet about this directly, but to run for office, any office, you got to really love humanity and believe that we could do better. And so for him to run for office, run for mayor of New York City, the audacity of hope, right? The audacity to do it. He did it, polling at 1% and grinding, hustling, outworking. And now we're here. And I'm just so happy for him, happy for his wife. Shout out to his team. They're incredible. And, of course, shout out to mom and dad, because y'all raised an incredible young man.
I can feel the emotion in this room and your voice. Zohran defeated the forces that got you out of office.
Yeah.
That must feel a certain way.
Yeah, and I'm so, yes. And I'm so happy it happened in New York City, because, you could make it here, you could make it anywhere. And this is the greatest city in the world. It's diverse, it's young, it's progressive, it's working class. We see through the bullshit very quickly. And so the fact that, unfortunately, hateful, divisive, forces that came after me and were successful in Westchester County, mostly in 2024, could not be successful in New York City. That's a powerful thing, and I'm really proud of New York City for that, and really excited about what's next, because you're going to have the establishment. They're going to do their establishment thing, right? They're going to have their political class point of view and all that. This is about the people, yo. The people of New York City. People who believed in him, and people who believed in what his team believed in. Just a powerful, powerful, amazing thing.
Well, I got to ask you, when it comes to Tish, when it comes to the fact that Jessica Tish
Yeah.
Good sustained NYPD commissioner. He got attacked a little bit on that issue, and we'll see how it plays out. But how do you think he's going to be able to? It's going to be difficult. You've been in this party before. The Democratic Party centrists are going to come down hard on him. In addition to Trump federally, what do people who support the policies of this campaign need to do to make sure that when he gets into office, the Jessica Tisches don't get to obstruct these policies? Because they're going to try.
Yeah, I mean, the same 70,000 plus organizing power that we've had during the primary and the general, we're going to need that again to help him govern. So we got to hold every single member of the city council accountable. We got to hold every single state legislator accountable. We got to hold NYPD accountable. We got to hold the governor's office accountable. That's what democracy is all about. What has been missing is the people in the checks and balances. It's been like establishment politicians working with corrupt corporations to benefit the corporations at the expense of the people. Now this is a moment where the people party tonight, have a good time, but then okay, regroup, what's next? How do we get universal child care across the finish line? How do we get fast and free busing across the finish line? How do we raise the minimum wage? How do we build world-class schools? That's the mission.
I got to ask you too, Jamal, you know that also who's saying what's next is the leaders of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, maybe I'm fantasizing a little bit, but what do you think they're sitting around panicking about right now? They must be trying to figure out, oh my God, what do we do next? How do we stop this?
What's really frustrating is I know that Democratic leadership right now, they're on the phone with special interests to figure out how to keep this contained in New York so it doesn't grow across the country. What's disappointing about that is we all claim to care about democracy, and we all claim to be defenders of the Constitution. And in order for democracy to work, you need everyone to be involved. And if everyone is not involved, then we're not serious about a healthy, thriving democracy. And so they shouldn't be on the phone with special interests. They should be on the phone with New York City DSA and Make the Road Action and Jewish Voices for Peace and the Working Families Party and all of the grassroots organizations that have been doing the damn work, UAW, so many others. That's what they should be doing.
What's up? What's going to happen with you next? Where are you going to do next?
Oh, I'm chilling, man. I don't know. I'm just, if anyone needs me, I'll try to be there for them. That's about it.
It's so good to see you. Thank you so much. It's great. It's lovely to see you.
Congratulations. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's awesome. That's Jamal, former Congressman Jamal Bowman. I've had him on Dispatches before. You can go watch that episode. What is it? Emily's trying to sell me. All right, let's go. We got another guest lined up. Monty Williams. Oh, sorry. I did not mean to do that. Oh, are you okay? Oh, you're good. Okay. Hi, I'm Rania. Welcome to the show, Monty Williams. Welcome. You are, I'm not a New Yorker. I know you're the New York City public advocate.
Yes.
Congratulations on your win tonight.
Thank you.
So how you feeling?
I'm euphoric.
Yeah.
I think I'm more excited for Mamdani's win than mine. This is a complete repudiation and rejection of the politics of people like Andrew Cuomo, who chose ugliness, as ugly as you can get, who chose bias, who chose fear. And his type of politics brought us Donald Trump. And New York City has rejected that. They said we're going to adopt a message of inclusivity, making sure that everyone can enjoy a safe or affordable New York. I couldn't be more excited about that. And it looks like across this country, we're seeing people waking up and say we don't want an authoritarian government. So Mamdani's message absolutely has to be the future of the Democratic Party, because what came before brought us Donald Trump. And I'm euphoric right now.
Well, I want to also ask you, there were so many attacks on Zohran Mamdani. There were Islamophobic attacks on him. They weaponized anti-Semitism against him. They also tried to say black people don't like him. So I'm just curious, how did you respond, or how do you respond to that claim and accusation? Because you're aligned with this guy, that the black community does not like Zohran Mamdani and he's not for them. Eric Adams really tried to hone in on that.
Well, I've been black a pretty long time, and I've been supporting him from very early on. I think what's most important when you see people like Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and even Eric Adams teaming up, you need to go the other way because they are bringing our nation into a very dark place. And what New York City decided to do was say we're going to choose some light in Zohran Mamdani. They do the politics of lying. That's what they do. And people said, no, we're going to reject that. So one of the best things you can do with liars and people who want to live in darkness is shine some light.
Well, so I want to ask you, too. I mean, look, Andrew Cuomo ran in the Democratic primary. He lost. So a big portion of the ruling elites in the Democratic Party got behind Andrew Cuomo running as an independent. And so I'm curious what you think about that fracture within this party. There's clearly a split that the base is more on the Zohran side, but the rulers of the Democratic Party are really trying to be an obstacle to that. How do you deal with that contradiction?
Well, there's actually always been a split. My hope is that the Democrats learn the lesson this time. We have been seeing that people are saying we don't want the same messenger. We don't want the same message. We don't want an elite Democrat to just replace an elite Republican. We want people who are going to speak up for the people of the city of New York or the people of this country. They've been saying that since 2008. The party I belong to hasn't gotten the message. I hope they get the message now. This is absolutely the future of this party. It has to be. Because if it's not, I don't know what's going to happen. Because what they tried brought us Donald Trump.
So I've asked a lot of people this tonight in the party in leadership positions like yourself. Zohran Mamdani has been saying in a lot of interviews that the fight doesn't end with electoral politics. People who got me elected need to make this a lifelong struggle, and they need to hold me accountable and push me so that I'm able to actually follow through on these policies. So I guess I'm curious what your message is to those people who helped get all of you elected. That doesn't stop here, or do they need to keep going?
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping what people learned when they voted for Barack Obama. They kind of just walked away and thought that was it, and it's not. There's a lot of work that needs to be done all of the time. You can't just pull a ballot and then walk away. I think that's part of the problem. The only plus about Donald Trump is he's so ugly with it. I think people are really beginning to see what the ugliness is and how much work they have to put in. My particular job is to work with the mayor when we're moving the city in the right way. And when we're not, whoever it is, sometimes you got to give them a little nudge. But what I'm excited about, Zohran, is that we're starting off from a place of someone who truly believes this. When he was polling on 1%, he didn't change his message. He went right through.
Well, I really appreciate it. Congratulations on your win. Thank you. All right, there you had it. Hamani Williams, who is, no. All right. Emily's giving me a shake. We don't have another guest yet, but that was Hamani Williams. He just won his role as public advocate. And he was aligned with Zohran Mamdani. As you can see from a lot of people we're having on, people are euphoric. People are excited. The energy here is electric. And I understand why. I mean, Zohran Mamdani was an insurgent candidate. He started out, no one really knew who he was, city council member. Now he is going to be the next mayor of New York. He has a diverse array of groups and movements behind him, supporting his agenda of free childcare, free health care, of raising the corporate tax rate to pay with his exact line on that issue. They still supported him, and I think that shows that it's very significant. The issue of Palestine no longer, or much less than before, can be used to basically defeat a candidate of the left who's left of center. And also the base of the Democratic Party, go ahead, someone's trying to go for it. The base of the Democratic Party is now so opposed to the genocide in Gaza and becoming so increasingly pro-Palestine. It's not going to apply everywhere, but for that to apply to a place like New York City, there's a lot of Zionists in New York City, self-described. There's a lot of people who spent a lot of money on the issue of Israel trying to defeat Zohran Mamdani. It didn't work. It didn't work because people care more about the vast inequality in this country that's only growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and the fact that they can't afford life more than they do trying to use a foreign country as a wedge issue and trying to weaponize the issue of anti-Semitism. So there you have it. I'm just going to take a minute and get some water, but we'll be back with more.
If you're just tuning in, this is Breakthrough News, live at the Zohran Mamdani Election Night Rally. AP has called it. Zohran Mamdani wins race for mayor. We're here with host Rania Khalek, interviewing the people who have gathered to celebrate this historic moment. Stay tuned for more interviews and the program that should be starting shortly.
How we doing, guys? All right. Oh, we have a fantastic guest about to come on. Just 1 second, guys. Hello, hi, I'm Rania Khalek. It's a pleasure to meet you. Yeah, let's help you under. Here we go. All right, with us, we have Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. Welcome to Breakthrough News. We're with Breakthrough News. You are a very famous person right now across the country. Donald Trump is coming after you hard, girl. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine because at the end of the day, God is on my side. And when allegations are baseless and when the case is based upon you simply loving your family, and that's where the facts stop, everything is okay. So no faith and fear cannot share the same space. And each and every day I wake up with this fire in my belly, and the fire in my belly is protecting New Yorkers. So I'm more focused on my job. I'm more focused on those individuals who are being secreted away at night, those immigrants. I'm focused on individuals who are struggling under the weight of poverty. That's what I'm focused on. Less on me and more on them.
And just to remind our audience, you are being attacked, politically persecuted for refusing to do the bidding of Donald Trump's administration. So thank you for that. But also, you're a New Yorker. This is a historic night in New York. What are your thoughts on what just happened in New York City?
It's just amazing. Listen, I endorsed Zohran after the primary, and I endorsed him because I felt this energy on the ground. Energy of young people, people who just believe in his agenda, who believe that obviously he can make a difference in their life, people who you've never spoken to, individuals obviously who drive Uber cars, who work at McDonald's, individuals who served you coffee this morning, people whose names you do not know, people who were the silent majority who stood up, stood online, and voted for change, and voted for a historic change. We haven't seen these types of returns since the 1960s, and Democrats should take a page out of this campaign.
I want to ask you something. You know, one of the arguments that we heard from Cuomo was that if Zohran is elected, Donald Trump is going to come after New York City, elect me so he doesn't, or I don't even know. As somebody who is being attacked by Donald Trump, what do you say to that argument?
Listen, I've been dealing with the harms coming from Washington, D.C. You know, he has focused on grants, education grants. He's focused on National Institute of Health grants. He's focused on grants affecting law enforcement. He focused on a wide range of grants. The extension of the 2nd Avenue subway, economic grants. So many grants in the state of New York. But guess what? We have been winning, and we'll do that with Zohran Mamdani.
Well, I want to thank you so much for speaking to us, and we appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. So that was Letitia James. She is being literally politically persecuted right now by the Trump administration Justice Department. She's one of many of these weaponized cases of him trying to go after people he considers his enemies, his political enemies, people who refuse to do his bidding, and she is one of them. And I mean, you heard it here. You know, one of the arguments again that Cuomo was making was that if Zohran's elected, Trump is promising to send in the National Guard, and you know he's probably going to try to do that. I think New Yorkers are aware of that. But I think one of the arguments that we're hearing tonight from people is that you can't capitulate to a bully. You got to stand up to a bully. That's what we're hearing from Zohran Mamdani and the people around him. And that's what we're seeing from someone like Letitia James, who's standing up for herself and is pushing back against these really wild accusations and actual legal assaults against her. My God, everyone is here tonight. Everyone is here tonight. It's really historic. I mean, for those who are just tuning in, you're probably not, but if you are, we are at the official Zohran Mamdani rally in Brooklyn, New York, at the Paramount Theater, where we saw that 38 minutes after the polls closed, he was winning by such a high margin that he was announced the official winner of the New York mayoral race. This is a historic night because this is somebody... Sorry? It's Jen, right? Jen. I know you're. I watch you. Yeah. We have Jen Welch, your name of your podcast.
I've had it.
And you've gone viral, repeatedly recently. Your podcast is really, really good. But also, you've been on mainstream media talking shit. I want to ask you about Zohran Mamdani's win, but first I want to ask you, first of all, thank you for everything you're saying, but also, tell me your evolution real quick, because obviously you're an anti-Trumper, but I see you going on talking about Palestine, asking Cory Booker about why he's taking AIPAC money, which I think is really awesome and great. I wish more people did it. What's motivating you?
Well, I mean, when you lose 2 elections to a moron that cannot blend his makeup, you have to start saying, why is this happening? And you start digging, and I've always been progressive, but I've gotten more so and more so in the face of all of this fascism. And we had Zohran on our podcast, and he's a sensation. Future of America. Love him. So happy to be here. Thank you. Out of the Bible Belt.
And I'm curious, you've been politicians, feet to the fire. You had Cory Booker on, which I thought was hilarious. But I raised that to ask, Zohran Mamdani is obviously representing an insurgent party, freaked. What happens next? I mean, they literally
is going to force that change, and what a missed opportunity for Hakeem Jeffries and Chuckles, talking about Schumer, to not be here tonight and ride these coattails. What an L for those 2 leaders. It's just a disgrace. This is their home state. These are their voters, and they could be riding this man's coattails, and it could be a blue tsunami at the midterms, and they could force cowardice Republicans with public opinion, but they set this out, and shame on them for doing that.
So Chuck Schumer, or Chuckles as you call him, he actually said that the reason he stayed silent was because he couldn't back Mamdani because he sees himself as a guardian of Israel. And I'm just curious what you think the significance of an election this big means when he ran against genocide in Gaza, and they couldn't defeat him over that. Usually they can. This is the first time. I'm Arab, I'm Lebanese. This cause has been near and dear to my heart my whole life. I've never seen a politician win on this issue, in spite of this issue. I'm not in this race.
The whole world is following this race. I think Zohran Mamdani is an international figure at this point, not only because of his support for Palestine, but he is also someone who is supporting minorities, immigrants. He is confronting this global rise of the right. He's confronting censorship. He's confronting fascism in such a way that provides a framework, a blueprint for many of us who are on the front lines organizing to see a path forward in politics, in education, in media strategy. So it's really exciting. Yes, Lebanon is for sure watching.
Are you surprised by his victory?
Am I surprised? A lot of people are asking that. I was 100% sure he was going to win because his campaign is a historic campaign in terms of strategy, in terms of design, in terms of the content around it, how approachable he is. And I was 100% sure that he was going to win. That's why I'm here.
Well, thank you so much. Rania, do you have any final questions?
Over here, it's so good to see you in your city. How do you feel tonight?
I feel really excited. It feels surreal, but it feels also so energizing.
Now, you also are a huge advocate for Palestine. You've got the Slow Factory. You do so much work on this issue. How does it feel to have somebody win in this city calling out the genocide in Gaza?
It feels really, really empowering. My only prayer is that he is protected and that all of us continue to mobilize, that we don't just feel like, oh, it's done,
Yeah, I hear that. And also, you're Lebanese, so representing my Lebanese sister over here. But, I just want to tell you and the audience, I was saying before how the ruling elites of this country are going to try to undermine him at every chance they can. And the ones that are aligned with Trump are already doing that. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's certain companies that have actually threatened to close their offices in New York. If Zohran Mamdani won, for example, Fannie Mae being one of them. I think their CEO or their president or in their leadership position at Fannie Mae is like a Nepo baby who's basically an ally of Trump. That's why he got appointed to that position. So I'm just curious, as somebody who lives in the city, how do you, are you nervous about what's to come given the kind of national attack that Trump is promising? You saw his tweet, I don't know if you saw it, reminding everybody that he's president.
Look, I mean, Trump is attacking every other city. He's attacking Chicago. There's a rise in ICE. We must be prepared that, yes, martial law may come to New York City. ICE may come to New York City in a very powerful way. We got to be prepared. We can't just sit here and think, oh, yes, things are going to be amazing. The fight has just started. And for anyone who comes from a country like Lebanon where something like that is incredibly inspiring happens, we have to stay vigilant, we have to stay strategic, organized, we have to work towards solidarity amongst ourselves as the progressives, the left, We can't just be like, this is done and now we go back to business as normal. The businesses and the people that are threatening to leave New York City, I think it's an empty threat because they can't leave. Where are they going to go? And if they do go anywhere, I think that the first mandate that Zohran is proposing, which is to lower down the rent, is going to just happen. It's just going to happen. It's going to make itself if it is true that they are leaving. But in any case, New York City has outlived all of these threats throughout time. Remember COVID-19, everybody left the city, but the city revived itself. And I think that if anyone were to leave New York City, it's going to make room for the right people to come to New York City.
I really appreciate what you're saying about staying vigilant. This is not the end. Basically only the beginning. What are you going to do to stay vigilant? If Zohran starts to capitulate on something, you hold him accountable. You push back. I'm just curious, I want to make sure people get that idea. They can celebrate tonight, but tomorrow, the day after, this guy needs a movement behind him to implement these policies. He can't do it by himself.
And I would add, not just hold him accountable and scrutinize him and police the shit out of him, because that does not build a movement. We have to learn how to organize within one another through mutual aid, through political education, through climate responses. This is a city that is most likely going to be flooded in the next few years. We need to be able to organize with our communities. We can't just rely on Zohran and be like, here you go, buddy, we're just going to let you deal with all of this and scrutinize the shit out of you. We have to continue organizing like this throughout the time that Zohran is mayor.
Thank you so much. And remind people where they can follow you.
At The Slow Factory. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Dora.
Yes.
Hi, Rania,
Hi.
Khalek, Breakthrough News.
Dora, nice to meet
Lovely
you.
to meet you. We've got Dora, press secretary of Zohran Mamdani.
That's right.
The now next mayor of New York City. How are you feeling tonight?
That's right. We are feeling incredible. I mean, the energy in this room, people are so excited to have a mayor who puts the people first, who really truly represents what New York City is. This movement has been culminating for over a year, and we get to see our hard work on display tonight. The people of New York City have spoken, and they're ready to turn the page on the broken billionaire-backed politics of the past and usher in a new era for City Hall.
I'm sure you saw the Washington Post editorial board came out and said Zohran Mamdani is a warning, basically, to the ruling elites of this country. They're really nervous that somebody was able to win calling themselves a socialist. What do you think is the significance of that? That somebody won, the mayor of New York, using the word socialism, and the red baiting didn't work.
I think New Yorkers are less focused on labels and more focused on what you're actually putting forth as your affirmative vision. We ran on a promise of universal child care, freezing the rent for more than 1 million rent-stabilized tenants, and fast and free buses. And the billionaires put together over $40 million to try to stop this movement, not because we would not deliver on our agenda, but because we will.
And another thing I've heard Zohran saying a lot in the last recent days is that it doesn't end with getting him elected, right? People need to still get in the streets, hold him accountable. Can you talk about the importance of people continuing to engage in order to back him to try to get these policies implemented? Because obviously there are people who are going to do everything they can to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Absolutely. We're already so proud to have the support of the Speaker of the Assembly, the head of the state Senate, and the governor, who are all ready to deliver on our affordability agenda because it's popular and it's also good for the city and it's good for the state. And one thing that I'll add is one thing we were able to deliver in this movement, in this campaign, is getting new people involved in the democratic process. We love higher turnout. We love that we change the electorate to bring new voters and first-time voters into the political process to feel hope for something, and we hope to continue that message through City Hall.
And then I also want to ask, in terms of having like an insurgent candidate running inside the Democratic Party, I think there's a segment of people who feel burned in the past because they feel like the party changes you, not the other way around. So I guess, what do you say to people who are concerned about potential Democratic Party like swallowing up this movement and swallowing up Zohran?
You know, we're focused on New York City and we're focused on delivering the affordability agenda. And like I said, that affordability agenda is incredibly popular. We have the people on our side. You know, we've flipped a lot of voters who voted for Trump last November to come to our movement because they're excited about that affordability agenda. And once we enact it, we know it'll continue to be popular.
And the other thing I'll ask about is the fact that anti-Semitism was weaponized so hard during this election. But I think it's really significant that he was able to run calling out a genocide. And he won in spite of that, or actually maybe because of that. I mean, he was kind of speaking to the base of the party there. But I guess, what's the significance of the fact that that issue didn't take his chances of winning?
Absolutely. I mean, I would say that Andrew Cuomo weaponized this issue for personal political gain, just like he weaponizes the suffering of all different people for personal political gain. We saw very clearly tonight New Yorkers rejected that kind of politics that plays into pettiness and self-interest and fear-mongering, and we saw someone get elected who's going to be a mayor for everybody in this city. The 1 million Jews in this city, the 900,000 Muslims in this city. All New Yorkers are excited to have someone who really represents the true myriad of the city.
And then lastly, I want to ask you, I'm sure you saw that Trump tweet that was just up on screen. He wants to remind the country that he's president, which is obviously directly targeted to New York. And he did promise if Zohran wins, he's basically going to punish the city. So are you guys prepared for the coming attack?
Absolutely, we're prepared for that. These last 4 years, we saw what it's like to have a mayor who capitulates to President Trump. And that didn't work out so well. What we've seen in our attorney general, what we've seen in our governor is that fighting back with legal cases and standing strong together to protect New Yorkers, it works. And we need to have a mayor who will put the city above the president.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you, Dora, Press Secretary for Zohran Mamdani, and congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. We're so excited.
Enjoy the night. Enjoy the celebration. And there you have it, guys, the Press Secretary for Zohran Mamdani. This team, I'm sure, is celebrating hard tonight because they have been working clearly day and night. You can tell by the fact that he's been canvassing, making all the stops he possibly can. And you know what? The polls were showing this guy so far ahead. He probably could have just rested on his laurels the last few days, but they didn't let up whatsoever. So they're all celebrating right now. They're very excited, and apparently also preparing for the day after, because as we saw with that Trump tweet and based on Trump's threats, we're going to see an attack come down on New York City. But I mean, I think that what she said was totally fair. When you have somebody who capitulates, it doesn't make things better, and actually continues to empower fascists and Donald Trump and his team and the centrists of the Democratic Party. So we'll see how this all plays out. I'm going to go for another water break, but I'll be back in just a moment.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, this is Breakthrough News. We're here at the Zohran Mamdani election night rally. Zohran Mamdani, AP has called it, reaches 1 million votes and has won the mayoral race. We'll be here all night. Program is set to start soon. Our host, Rania Khalek, will be back in just a few moments.
I gave her mine. Yeah. Okay, you should get her. I will. Actually, see if you could go grab
Wait, Greg.
All right, we've
Adam. Hi. All right. Tell me when you're ready. Okay. Adam Green, how are you? Tell us, for those of us watching, well, for those of them watching who don't know you, tell us who you are and what you're doing here.
Well, in addition to being a huge Katie Halper fan, I am Adam Green, co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, and we are big supporters of Zohran's and looking forward to the effect this will have all across the country for our politics.
So, Adam, you're someone who I guess you would describe yourself as being on like the progressive edge of the Democratic Party. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Sure, some people have called us, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, whatever.
So what is the significance of Zohran's victory?
This could be a catalyzing event. This is going to say to anybody thinking about running for office on their values, who's wondering, will the public actually reward me if I have an inspiring agenda and take on very powerful interests? Tonight, the answer is overwhelmingly yes. It is also going to send shockwaves through corporate America and the corporate wing of the Democratic Party. They wanted to kill this in the cradle. They didn't want this to get out. The genie is out of the bottle, and they're going to see actual progressive governance, actual corporate accountability happening on the biggest platform in the United States of America, and that will have ripple effects throughout our national debate.
So what kind of ripple effects are you talking about?
Well, anybody who follows Chuck Schumer knows that there are some Democrats who don't like to use power, who would rather have a talking point and then lose than doing something and winning. Zohran is actually going to challenge billionaires. And one thing I think that he's going to do, unlike many Democrats who have made mistakes in the past, is he's going to keep the public engaged. Barack Obama got elected and brought the entire healthcare debate behind closed doors, where he cut deals with pharma and just sacrificed his leverage. I am very convinced that Zohran is going to keep his army mobilized, use it as a source of leverage with the council, with the governor, and with the culture of the bureaucracy in New York City to get stuff across the finish line. And when he gets stuff across the finish line, that puts the bar higher for every other elected official, including Democrats in America, makes them accountable to their voters back home. If Zohran can do it, why can't you do it?
So the flip side to that same issue or question is, what do we do to make sure that we hold him accountable? Because we all know that, it's the famous apocryphal or not, go out and make me do it line from FDR, that Obama that he used. Obama, no one made him do anything. So how do we make sure we do make him do those things?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping there won't need to be too much pressure to keep him doing the right thing. But I do anticipate that, especially early on in his administration, there will be moments where he's trying to get along with the governor or the council. And I do think there is a role for independent activism, not waiting for him to say, please pressure X, Y, or Z politician. But we have to get out there in the streets, surround the council offices, right? Go up to Albany, have protests, do things that show that the public is on his side without him necessarily having to lead the rally like he will tonight. I think that's a way of allowing him to be as bold as he wants to be, if that makes any sense. What do you think about that theory of the case?
I like it. I think it's good. I think this is a cool moment where progressives and people from within and outside of the party can work together. Oh my God, I think he's going to concede.
You guys, Andrew Cuomo is now addressing his rally, basically conceding, I believe, to Zohran Mamdani. I'm assuming he's about to concede if you want to get that. Andrew Cuomo was slated to lose His political career is over. What you're witnessing is him give his own obituary, folks. Goodbye, Andrew Cuomo. I don't think you'll be missed. Really, really unbelievable. If now's maybe a good time, our cameraman Craig is going to take a break to switch batteries, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Guy. Okay, David Hogg.
If you're just tuning in, this is Breakthrough News live at the Zohran Mamdani election night rally. Zohran has taken the race. We're here with host Rania Khalek, interviewing the people who have come to celebrate this historic election. The program is set to start soon, so stay tuned.
I interview children about things as complicated as like climate change to as silly as like Spider-Man.
So, how did you get involved in that? And also, why are you here tonight?
Sorry, what was the first part?
How did you start doing that? What inspired you to start doing that?
How did I start interviewing kids? Well, I was in college at Boston University, and I was really depressed. It was COVID, and I noticed that the kids were so happy and seemed so... they were just in a very different space than I was. And I wanted to know, like, what was going on in their heads. And so I went to a playground with my friends, and we interviewed kids for an afternoon, and they were just so unbelievably positive, but not in, like... It wasn't fake. It was coming from a really genuine, real place. Yeah. And so I was like, I should do a lot more of that, and I've been interviewing kids for 5 years. Yeah.
So what brings you here tonight to celebrate the victory of Zohran Mamdani?
Zohran wants what is best for human beings, for people, for New York City. And I have just been so unbelievably wowed by, like, the integrity and the heart that he has brought to his campaign. And as a lifelong New Yorker, I lived in Philly for a minute, but as mostly...
It's okay, this is a safe space. Yeah.
As a semi-lifelong New Yorker, just, like, he wants to do things that will really, hopefully help people and make people's lives better and more affordable and give people free childcare and buses, all these things that are just, like, should be base necessities. And I felt so excited, and he's given me so much hope.
Have you interviewed any kids about him?
I did. I had him and Elizabeth Warren on my show, and they love the guy. They think he's amazing because they can tell that he's a person with integrity, and, you know, kids see things in a very black and white way. They look at somebody who respects people and cares, and they look at somebody who maybe doesn't, and I think Zohran comes across as somebody who really does genuinely care. Yeah.
They have very good BS detectors.
What's that?
They have very good BS detectors.
They do. That they do. Yeah.
Well, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night. Bye. All right, guys, very inspiring videos. I don't know if you've seen those videos, but he does really incredible interviews with kids. And I do think, oh, wait, we have news.
I'm waiting for the tweet to load. But I just want to clarify to my family group chat, I keep taking breaks because I'm thirsty, because I've been doing a lot of talking, and my throat is dry.
Does that mean that they don't want me on?
No, oh my God, you've offended Katie.
Yeah.
No, they were joking. They were like, is Rania taking pee breaks? And I was like, and is she okay? And I was like, oh, hang on, I've got a former state representative from New York. 1 second, and then I'm going to tell you the news I've got, which is that Bill Ackman says, Zohran Mamdani, congrats on the win. Now you have a big responsibility. If I can help New York City, just let me know what I can do. Is that like a cryptic? Hello.
How y'all doing?
Hello, I'm Rania Khalek. It's Katie Halper. I'm Rania Khalek with Breakthrough News.
Great to meet you, both. How we doing?
We got Michael Blake here.
Yes, sir.
You are calling himself a
And we continue to show people.
Oh, sorry. Andrew Cuomo has just congratulated.
Continue to show people.
Oh, sorry. Andrew Cuomo has just congratulated Zohran Mamdani. Sorry. I got to ask you, how do you feel about Andrew Cuomo congratulating Zohran Mamdani?
It might be the first nice thing he said to him about him, right? Racism lost tonight. You know, supremacy lost tonight. Islamophobia lost tonight. Disrespect lost tonight. And for those of us that were serious about trying to help the people, that's why Zohran won. 50% of the city. I mean, you think about it. It's a mandate. It's a mandate, and it sends a message that people are ready for something new.
And do you think this translates to significance across the country?
Absolutely. That's gonna from the Bronx to Brooklyn, New York City to Newark, you know, all over the city, all over the country. If a 34-year-old Muslim American can become mayor of New York City, dreams are possible everywhere. And it's our job to show these young cats that when you do it the right way, you can do it and you can make it.
All right, so one thing I got to ask is we saw that a lot of ruling elites in the Democratic Party got behind Andrew Cuomo as an independent to try to tank this guy's chances of winning. They backed the Islamophobia, they backed the racism, all the lying, smearing attacks. What do you think this means for the future of this party? That so many people with money who were in it put their resources into trying to defeat someone so popular among the base.
Hate loses. And we have to be clear about this. When we talk about the positive issues, we win. And the noise that was being pushed about Zohran were lies. And I told people, I'm an ordained reverend. I'm not going to endorse someone who's anti-Semitic. Like, let's stop this nonsense. So, cost of living, affordability, immigration, helping the people, that's what we should be talking about. So for everyone else that was trying to defeat Zohran, get on board.
Are you at all concerned about, like, the relationship that the NYPD is going to have, or maybe the way mayoral candidate in the Democratic primary and him and Zohran cross-endorsed each other, and he got behind his campaign afterwards? Former, I believe he said, state assemblyman. It's hard to disagree with that, considering the attacks on Zohran Mamdani, some of the racist, most Islamophobic attacks we've seen, not just by the Republican Party, but by leadership in the Democratic Party, too. And I just want to note some insane meltdown reactions as we wait for Zohran to eventually address this crowd. Thank you to my family group chat for sending them to me. Michael Rappaport, D-list actor, maybe not D-list, but not a well-known actor, tweeted a meme of a woman just screaming no. You have Randy Fine. Randy Fine has spoken. What has Randy Fine said? Psychotic. What is he, a member of Congress? Where did he go? You guys, you sent me Randy Fine's tweet and now I can't find it. Elected a communist Muslim jihadist. New York City has fallen. America is next if we don't stop it. These fascists are insane, and they're going to spend the next several days crying, whining, and having a psychotic episode of violent, fanatical, racist glitching. So that's just the start of it. I don't want to sit here and read fascist tweets, but I do think this attack was able to be defeated. And also, I just want to double check that we're not paused right now. Emily, the stream is okay? 1 second, guys. I want to check on the stream. Okay. Sorry, guys. My Wi-Fi is just really bad. It's coming out like this. Yours is good? Okay, great. My Wi-Fi sucks. Okay, yeah, we're good. There you go. And I want to use this opportunity, by the way. I mean, you see all these really cool guests we have on. You've seen Jamal Bowman. You've seen Jennifer Welch. You've seen Hassan Piker. You've seen State Assemblyman Michael Blake. You've seen, oh my God, we've talked to so many people tonight. We talked to Zohran's press secretary. We talked to people who canvassed for Zohran. We talked to Leadership and Jewish Voice for Peace. We talked to Arabs for Zohran, like Amr Zahar. We talked to Rahma Zain, who gave us the international perspective. We've got Katie Halper coming in and out to help me with hosting tonight. We're able to bring you coverage like this because we're an independent media outlet that relies on donations and money from people like you. If you are able to, I highly encourage you to go to patreon.com/breakthrough news. You can become a member for as little as $5 a month and get access to exclusive content as well as exclusive merch. You get access to the part of my show, Dispatches, that's behind a paywall. I should also remind those who are just tuning in for the first time to Breakthrough News, make sure you smash that like button. It helps boost us in the algorithm that hates us. And also, make sure you're subscribed to Breakthrough News. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you can get an alert every time we post new content, because sometimes YouTube doesn't want you to see us in your feed. I'm sure that's just an accident, right, YouTube? Anyway, all that's to say, me, our cameraman who's behind the camera but is a hero and an angel, Craig Birchfield, our amazing producer. Come say hi, Emily. This is the girl making the magic happen, baby.
Yay. Go Breakthrough News.
Go Breakthrough News. Emily Brees, she's a good friend and really good at her job. She's wrangling all these amazing guests. I work with a really incredible tiny team. Help us make it bigger. Throw money in the live chat. Go to breakthroughnews.org and give us money there. Consider your return on investment, independent media that isn't beholden to corporations, to Bill Ackman, and to other psychotic fascists who are against democracy. And on that note, I'm going to take a little breather because I've been talking for quite some time, and you guys might be sick of me by now. I will be back. We might get Katie back on just so you've got someone talking. But right now, basically, just to remind you, we are at Paramount Theater in Brooklyn, New York, at the official Zohran Mamdani rally, waiting for Zohran to come address the crowd. Really exciting night for him. Andrew Cuomo has conceded. He won over 50% of the vote. Here we go. Guys, I am back, and I have with me Jasmine Gripper. She is with the Working Families Party, which...
We're feeling excited. Zohran is our candidate. We were with him in the primary, and we're glad to bring this victory home in the general election with such a strong win. Over 1 million New Yorkers voted for him, and 150,000 of those votes came on the Working Families ballot line.
Tell me what the Working Families Party is.
We are a statewide political party here in New York. Whenever you vote, we are on Row D. It's always Dems, Republican, Conservative, Working Families. We've been around for 25 years in New York State, building power for working families. We were helping to win the minimum wage fight, paid sick days, paid family leaves. We win and get our candidates elected, and then we win their agenda as elected officials. And so Zohran is another one of our candidates who just made it over the finish line.
So obviously, we've had insurgent candidates in the Democratic Party who've won, and then maybe people have been a little disappointed. What do you think is different this time with Zohran Mamdani?
Yeah, one, not only is he an insurgent candidate, he's an insurgent candidate with institutional support. The Working Families Party is an institution here in New York State. The other part is Zohran's ready to deliver for his base and ready to deliver for New Yorkers. He's not beholden to the millionaire class because they didn't help get him here. He's beholden to the working people of New York who propelled this election forward, and that's what he's going to fight for.
And another thing I've been hearing him say, and I've been raising this a lot with people I've been talking to, is Zohran's been saying the end is not now. It's actually you got to stay organizing, stay building, stay in the streets if you need to get these policies actually enacted, because he's going to be facing a lot of pressure from the top.
Yeah. Voting on election day is just the beginning of your civic duty. It is not the end. We have more work to do. We have to stay plugged in, and we build power together. Zohran can't win by himself. He needs a city council that's going to help him deliver. He needs Albany and the governor to step in. And the only way we win the things we want in our political environment is by the public. Ideas don't get done. The public pressure gets things done. Zohran has a bunch of good ideas. We have to keep up the public pressure and the momentum to get them done. So we need people to plug into local organizing groups, plug into the Working Families Party, join a local chapter, be a part of an organizing and political home so we can exercise our power and build even more.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Thank you so much, and congratulations tonight. Enjoy it. So there you have it. She's with the Working Families Party, which canvassed for Zohran, endorsed him. I saw people who are with the Working Families Party out in the streets canvassing for him over the weekend, really pushing to get out the vote across the city. So it's really, I mean, I think she said some really important things about the institutions backing him. He does have a lot of grassroots organizations backing him. That's how he got the vote. I mean, the guy's charming, he's witty, he's sharp in interviews and in debates. All of that's really important. But as important, if not more important, actually, is having the people on the ground who are actually from the communities that you want to represent, getting out the vote for you. And the fact that he was able to do that without billionaire and corporate backing, with the help of people on the ground from different communities, different organizations. I mean, he has quite an institutional array behind him. And everyone we've talked to tonight, I have to say, has not been, is not, in some fantasy world thinking that they've won everything. They're celebrating tonight, but they're all saying the same thing. They're saying that after tonight, they're going to stay working to push these policies and to show up and to make sure that Zohran has those movements behind him so he can get those policies enacted. That seems to be a theme tonight. Wow, the crowd outside that's playing on the screen is big. I think it's like Zohran might be arriving. So people here are waiting in anticipation for Zohran Mamdani, the next mayor of New York, to address the crowd full of his supporters, his base, activists, people from different organizations that got out the vote. Oh. All right, so everyone's currently cheering because Bernie Sanders tweeted out a photo of him and Zohran Mamdani, I guess congratulating him on his win. And there's obviously a lot of pro-Bernie people in the crowd as well. I imagine there'll probably be speeches from people tonight before Zohran goes on. Bernie Sanders could be one of them. We'll see. But interestingly enough, I've also been making it a point to ask people. Governor Kathy Hochul has also tweeted out an excited selfie photo. I think they're saying, are they saying tax the rich? And the crowd started chanting tax the rich. It'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out, because Governor Kathy Hochul of New York is a moderate. And when she spoke at a Mamdani rally last week, I mean, she did endorse him, which was kind of unusual for somebody with her politics to do. She addressed a massive crowd of like 13,000 people in Brooklyn. And when she went on to speak, the crowd started chanting quite aggressively, tax the rich, tax the rich. And they were specifically addressing that to her. because she's a moderate, and I think there's an understanding that even though she endorsed Zohran, he is going to have to get the governor of the state on board with his tax the rich call. So that'll definitely be an interesting contradiction to see playing out as his administration gets to work. And I think that's why he keeps going on about how people need to stay in the struggle. It's a lifetime struggle, and stay pushing him and pushing the ruling class, or giving him the backing he needs against entrenched power, against the ruling class, to push for the policies that he wants to enact. Oh my God, are you guys sick of hearing me talk yet? I'm almost sick of hearing me talk. I could do it all day, but I don't know how people stream for like 10 hours, I gotta say. I'm gonna take a little break, just to take a few sips of water again, and preserve my voice a little bit, because I think the night's gonna be going on for a little bit longer before we start seeing speeches. So I will be back.
If you're just tuning in, Breakthrough News is covering the Zohran Mamdani election rally. He's set to appear on stage soon. Stay tuned.
Introduce a very special member of our team. Let's hear a round of applause for our day one endorsers, those who helped build this movement into what it's become. New York City DSA. Shoulder with our brothers and sisters in organized labor at 1 a.m. in Queens, at 4 p.m. in Manhattan, at 6 a.m. in Brooklyn, at every time of day and night, in every corner of the city, and we are so grateful for your partnership. And we are so proud to be backed by dozens of elected leaders, from the local to the state to the federal level. And we know that the relationships that we have built will only deepen from City Hall as we work together to transform New York into a city where every person can live a dignified life. I also want to thank our incredible campaign staff. To this movement, and then when Cuomo decided to get back into the race, you dug deep and gave more. I have been so honored to work with you, learn from you, and support you as you have faced unprecedented scrutiny and at times ugliness and threats from our opponents. You have built a historic campaign, so please give them all a round of applause. Celebrating the person who has been Zohran's right hand from day one, whose deep commitment to our movement and care for our people has infused every part of this campaign from top to to bottom and without whom we would not be here tonight, El Biscard Church. He has led our team and this movement with grace, curiosity, good humor, and thoughtfulness. And this race has been difficult. He has been the subject of attacks and threats, but he has truly risen above it all to give us hope. So please join me in giving Zohran, our friend, a round of applause. And there are too many supporters to name, so I want to speak to everyone directly. Please raise your hand if you have given to this campaign, whether that is time, labor, knocking a door, hosting an event, creating art. And if you are one of the tens of thousands, this is beautiful, and if you are one of the tens of thousands of people who contributed but cannot be with us tonight, this is for you as well. You have made history. You set unreachable goals and then exceeded them. You believed in this city and believed in each other. And you achieved something that people will speak of for decades to come. You led with kindness and compassion. And most importantly, during a time of despair and rising fascism, you decided to fight for someone that you don't know. So thank you. Friends, the scope of this campaign was truly unprecedented. We had hundreds of thousands of conversations with our neighbors and trained leaders who will help us deliver our agenda for the next 4 years. But this record-breaking program did not come out of nowhere. It was the product of years of organizing and leadership development by New York City DSA and so many of our movement partners. And we were so fortunate to be led on this campaign by someone who has been a part of this work from the beginning. She led Julia Salazar's groundbreaking campaign in 2018. And since then has been behind the scenes in so many of our victories. If this campaign made you feel powerful, or taught you something, or showed you discipline, or brought you joy, you have this person to thank. She is caring, wise, and deeply committed to our movement. And I am sure she is backstage losing her mind at being called out like this. But I need everyone here to please join me in giving her the longest and loudest round of applause, our organizing director, Tasha.
I'm Tasha, and I've had the honor of being the field director on this campaign. I first crossed paths with Zohran in 2017 on a city council campaign for Khader in Bay Ridge. Zohran was the paid canvas manager, and I was volunteering on the campaign as a member of New York City Democratic Socialists of America. I don't think that we could ever have imagined that 8 years later, we would be here on election night for a mayoral campaign, 104,000 volunteers strong. 104,000 volunteers. We love numbers, we love metrics, but I want to talk first about what's behind those numbers. Every number is, in a way, an act of bravery. Door knocking is not the easiest thing. For many, including myself, it takes a moment of bravery at the beginning, asking a stranger something about their lives and sharing something about yours. Sharing what you want to see in the world, it can be daunting. Thousands of people did it. And every time, every volunteer went to a door and talked to a stranger, they offered their vision to that stranger and invited that stranger to be a part of shaping their vision. We love strangers. Every door knock and every phone call is a statement of belief that politics is for all of us. This campaign and this city is all of ours to shape. I also want to say something about field leads. All of our canvases, for those who don't know, all of our canvases have been led by volunteers we call field leads. Many of them are here. Most led a shift every week, and some led a shift every week since December. And every time they led a canvas, and they were the ones welcoming new volunteers into our movement. They were the ones who helped inspire folks coming out to canvas for the first time. Without those 700 people who chose to step into leadership in an uncertain moment and try something new and scary, this field operation at this scale would not have happened. Those 700 people prove that leadership isn't about having all of the answers, it's about the willingness to step into the unknown and inspire others to imagine something better. So here are the numbers. Over 104,000 volunteers made over 4.4 million calls. At around noon today, a volunteer knocked our 3 millionth door. Over 700 field leads have led over 5,700 canvases in 243 neighborhoods. 6,568 voters signed up to volunteer on the spot when they were canvassed by someone. 8,389 voters signed up to volunteer when they were asked by a phone banker. These are unprecedented numbers. The bravery that you all have shown, that this field operation carried across all 5 boroughs, is going to transform our city. What all 100,000 possibilities of mass democratic action. And it doesn't stop tonight. We all know that we won't stop at electing Zohran. We will continue to fight to bring the affordable of New York City to life. I am so excited to do that with all of you. Now, I'm so honored to introduce the person you've been waiting to hear. We've worked for many years to bring about change in New York City that it so urgently needs. He's been a friend, and he is the next mayor of the greatest city on earth, Zohran
have set over our city this evening. But as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Fingers bruised from lifting boxes on the warehouse floor, palms calloused from delivery bike handlebars, knuckles scarred with kitchen burns. These are not hands that have been allowed to hold power. And yet, over the last 12 months, you have dared to reach for something greater. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name. As we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change. A mandate for a new kind of politics. A mandate for a city we can afford. And a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that. On January 1st, I will be sworn in as the mayor of New York City. And that is because of you. So before I say anything else, I must say this. Thank you. Thank you to the next generation of New Yorkers who refused to accept that the promise of a better future was a relic of the past. You showed that when politics speaks to you without condescension, we can usher in a new era of leadership. We will fight for you because we are you. Or as we say on Steinway, ana minkum wa ilaykum. To those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties. To every New Yorker in Kensington and Midwood and Hunts Point, know this. This city is your city, and this democracy is yours too. This campaign is about people like Wesley, an $11.99 organizer I met outside of Elmhurst Hospital on Thursday night. A New Yorker who lives elsewhere, who commutes 2 hours each way from Pennsylvania because rent is too expensive in this city. It's about people like the woman I met on the BX33 years ago, who said to me, I used to love New York, but now it's just where I live. And it's about people like Richard, The taxi driver I went on a 15-day hunger strike with outside of City Hall, who still has to drive his cab 7 days a week. My brother, we are in City Hall now. This victory is for all of them. And it's for all of you. The more than 100,000 volunteers who built this campaign into an unstoppable force. Because of you, we will make this city one that working people can love and live in again. With every door knocked, every petition signature earned, and every hard-earned conversation, you eroded the cynicism that has come to define our politics. Now I know that I have asked for much from you over this last year. Time and again, you have answered my calls. But I have one final request. New York City, breathe this moment in. We have held our breath for longer than we know. We have held it in anticipation of defeat. Held it because the air has been knocked out of our lungs too many times to count. Held it because we cannot afford to exhale. Thanks to all of those who sacrificed so much, we are breathing in the air of a city that has been reborn. To my campaign team, who believed when no one else did, and who took an electoral project and turned it into so much more, I will never be able to express the depth of my gratitude. You can sleep now. To my parents, Mama and Baba, today. I am so proud to be your son. And to my incredible wife, Rama, Hayati, there is no one I would rather have by my side in this moment and in every moment. To every New Yorker, whether you voted for me, for one of my opponents, or felt too disappointed by politics to vote at all, thank you for the opportunity to prove myself worthy of your trust. I will wake each morning with a singular purpose: to make this city better for you than it was the day before. There are many who thought this day would never come, who feared that we would be condemned only to a future of less, with every election consigning us simply to more of the same. And there are others who see politics today as too cruel for the flame of hope to still burn. New York, we have answered those fears. Tonight we have spoken in a clear voice. Hope is alive. Hope is a decision that tens of thousands of New Yorkers made day after day, volunteer shift after volunteer shift, despite attack ad after attack ad. More than 1 million of us stood in our churches, in gymnasiums, in community centers, as we filled in the ledger of democracy. And while we cast our ballots alone, we chose hope together. Hope over tyranny. Hope over big money and small ideas. Hope over despair. We won because New Yorkers allowed themselves to hope that the impossible could be made possible. And we won because we insisted that no longer would politics be something that is done to us. Now it is something that we do. Standing before you, I think of the words of Jawaharlal Nehru. A moment comes but rarely in history when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends and when the soul of a nation long suppressed finds utterance. Tonight we have stepped out from the old into the new. So let us speak now with clarity and conviction that cannot be misunderstood about what this new age will deliver and for whom. This will be an age where New Yorkers expect from their leaders a bold vision of what we will achieve, rather than a list of excuses for what we are too timid to attempt. Central to that vision will be the most ambitious agenda to tackle the cost of living crisis that this city has seen since the days of Fioral LaGuardia. The rents for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. Make buses fast and free. And deliver universal child care across our city. Years from now, may our only regret be that this day took so long to come. This new age will be one of relentless improvement. We will hire thousands more teachers. We will cut waste from a bloated bureaucracy. We will work tirelessly to make lights shine again in the hallways of NYCHA developments where they have long flickered. Safety and justice will go hand in hand as we work with police officers to reduce crime and create a department of community safety that tackles the mental health crisis and homelessness crises head on. Excellence will become the expectation across government, not the exception. In this new age we make for ourselves, we will refuse to allow those who traffic in division and hate to pit us against one another. In this moment of political darkness, New York will be the light. Here, we believe in standing up for those we love. Whether you are an immigrant, a member of the trans community, one of the many black women that Donald Trump has fired from a federal job, a single mom still waiting for the cost of groceries to go down, or anyone else with their back against the wall, your struggle is ours too. And we will build a city hall that stands steadfast alongside Jewish New Yorkers and does not waver in the fight against the scourge of anti-Semitism. Where the more than 1 million Muslims know that they belong. Not just in the 5 boroughs of this city, but in the halls of power. No more will New York be a city where you can traffic in Islamophobia and win an election. This new age will be defined by a competence and a compassion that have too long been placed at odds with one another. We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about. For years, those in City Hall have only helped those who can help them. But on January 1st, we will usher in a city government that helps everyone. Now I know that many have heard our message message only through the prism of misinformation. Tens of millions of dollars have been spent to redefine reality and to convince our neighbors that this new age is something that should frighten them. As has so often occurred, the billionaire class has sought to convince those making $30 an hour that their enemies are those earning $20 an hour. They want the people to fight amongst ourselves so that we remain distracted from the work of remaking a long broken system. We refuse to let them dictate the rules of the game anymore. They can play by the same rules as the rest of us. Together, we will usher in a generation of change. And if we embrace this brave new course, rather than fleeing from it, we can respond to oligarchy and authoritarianism with the strength it fears, not the appeasement it craves. After all, if anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. Taking advantage of their tenants. We will put an end to the culture of corruption that has allowed billionaires like Trump to evade taxation and exploit tax breaks. We will stand alongside unions and expand labor protections because we know, just as Donald Trump does, that when working people have ironclad rights, the bosses who seek to extort them become very small indeed. New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants. And as of tonight, led by an immigrant. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us. When we enter City Hall in 58 days, expectations will be high. We will meet them. A great New Yorker once said that while you campaign in poetry, you govern in prose. If that must be true, let the prose we write still rhyme and let us build a shining city for all. And we must chart a new path, as bold as the one we have already traveled. After all, the conventional wisdom would tell you that I am far from the perfect candidate. I am young, despite my best efforts to grow older. I am Muslim. I am a democratic socialist. And most damning of all, I refuse to apologize for any of them. Too many working people cannot recognize themselves in our party. And too many among us have turned to the right for answers to why they've been left behind. We will leave mediocrity in our past. No longer will we have to open a history book for proof that Democrats can dare to be great. Our greatness will be anything but abstract. It will be felt by every rent-stabilized tenant who wakes up on the first of every month, knowing the amount they're going to pay hasn't soared since the month before. It will be felt by each grandparent who can afford to stay in the home they have worked for, and whose grandchildren live nearby because the cost of childcare didn't send them to Long Island. It will be felt by the single mother who is safe on her commute and whose bus runs fast enough that she doesn't have to rush school drop-off to make it to work on time. And it will be felt when New Yorkers open their newspapers in the morning and read headlines of success, not scandal. Most of all, it will be felt by each New Yorker when the city they love finally loves them back. Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and... Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal... Let the words we've spoken together, the dreams we've dreamt together, become the agenda we deliver together. New York, this power, it's yours. This city belongs to you. Thank you.
Oh, there's oh fuck, there's or Mara or what?
Here, and we'll be back with you in just a second. electric speed. Very, very powerful words towards Donald Trump. Huge, big, lots of credit given to the people who helped get him where he was. You can watch it. There was, oh, thank you. We love you too. Yes. We're really happy we were able to come and provide you live coverage of such a historic night. Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani won against all odds, huge resources stacked against him, but he won because he had a really powerful message that resonated with millions or with hundreds of thousands of people. And it seems, given the people across the country's support for him, with maybe millions of people across the country, this election was watched by the nation and by the world, and certainly by Donald Trump this evening. This is also happening as, shout out to managing editor Ben Becker for keeping me in the loop. He's calling it a potential Democratic wave election, noting that the Democrats won the Virginia governor and attorney general races in Virginia. I'm a Virginia girl, so shout out to Virginia, I guess. In addition to the New Jersey governor, Georgia Democrats also won the Public Service Commission. It's the first time Democrats won a statewide office since 2006. Wow. Prop 50 also expected to pass. I think we can conclude that today, at least, Trump in this version of the Republican Party took this Thursday's race and so many others forward. We heard from so many Democrats and supported by you. Democrats and supported by you. Investigative journalism and written pieces that we do as well. Journalism and written pieces that we do as well. These will be supporting information and corporate lies. Shout out to our cameraman, Craig Birchfield, who did a fantastic job this evening. Shout out to our producer, Emily Breeze. Fantastic job wrangling guests for us this evening. Shout out to Katie Halper for hosting at points this evening. We love you all, and we will be